Hey everybody, welcome to Power Bombshells, episode 52. I am Sam, and that is Mel. Happy birthday slash podcast anniversary, Mel.
Happy birthday, Power Bombshells. We rock. 52 episodes. Oh my god, we didn't pod fade.
We didn't. We made it.
I know. It's amazing.
Look at us.
Two girls, two broads talking about wrestling can go on for more than 5 minutes.
Even when they're not your average broads talking about your average wrestling.
So true. This is going to be a weird mix today, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I love your decorations. I really love the glasses. That's fantastic.
So I asked Bob because he was out and about yesterday, and I said, "Can you, grab me something?" Because I couldn't come up with anything. And he was like, they only come in sets, so
of course
he went with stuff like this, and it's obviously it's video game theme, which works for me. I'm great.
Perfect.
So, but he came in, and it's like they come in like little box packs. It's not like when when we were kids, they had like the hats were sold, and they were sold like pre-made. Everything. He was like, we're putting all of it together. He's like, how many people do you think bring this back because they have to put this stuff together?
Exactly.
They have to like assemble it.
Yeah. Daza said the old faithful three, me, Brad, and Nikki again. Hey, we appreciate that. We're glad that you are here. Thank you
guys.
But yeah, I ended up the plans I had for yesterday, we were going to do some stuff today and stuff yesterday, and then we ended up swapping it. And then I was like, it was late, and I was like, oh my God, I forgot to go find a party hat. And I was like,
it's okay, like, I got one for each of us.
Yeah. See, Mel's on top of it. She's got
I know exactly what's going on. I knew you were going to be busy. The yellow one says bonus. I'm grabbing the red one, of course, because of the backwards camera thing. And the red one says game on.
Yes.
So they're very digi.
We are game digital. On. Yeah, so
Bob told me that I look like Pikachu. So
yeah, a little bit, but it works.
It works? Hey, it does. I love it.
Yeah, I was like, well, I was trying to figure out, I was like, well, I have some streamers. I had some yellow streamer. Then I found these ribbons, and I was like, the ribbons kind of goes with the Power Bombshells like logo. So I was like, we'll just go with that. And I was like, it'll work. It's a little minimalist.
Next year, we can go way overboard.
Not quite 100 episodes. We still got a ways to go for that.
We're
but
almost to 50,
close enough.
52. God, when we get to 100, that's what we'll get.
That's when I'll go all out for decorations.
We can
I'll be prepared.
Do sillier stuff.
I'll be prepared.
No, we'll have when we have our second birthday. We'll just worry about it. I think it's fine. I usually have way too much going on, so there's always something to like distract everyone.
Right.
It's kind of like half Liger, half Pikachu. So
hey,
sticking with my theme for the last year to this year.
It feels like it's on brand, and you're keeping with your hat theme of the year that you've had this year. So it works out. And
I only was gonna do it for Christmas, but all of our kind friends in the chat were so upset. And I still have to
listen. Sometimes you have to call an audible and listen to what the people want.
You have to give the people what they want.
And so they want Mel in a hat every week. So we're calling the audible and making it happen.
Exactly. See, that's exactly the way it's supposed to work in pro wrestling.
Yeah,
when something is super, you don't know what's going to get over. Dave always said, Meltzer
we never saw no one saw the Acclaim getting over.
Right, exactly.
Nobody saw that.
It's
funny because I actually saw a video. Yes, I saw a video this morning explaining how the scissors came about. So I actually shared it to the Power Bombshells Insta story because the clip came up while when I was on Instagram this morning, and it talks about how like it wasn't supposed, it just happened, and it happened, and Anthony was like, don't, like, we're gonna get in trouble, like, stop doing it. And then of course Max was like, no, I'm gonna keep doing it. And then they got told not to do it, and then they were like, well, we kind of have to. And so then they said they just got more ridiculous with it, and then it caught on and became a thing. So here we are.
You gotta go with it. You gotta go with it. I think that They were smart in that one. I mean, they've like given the Acclaim the thing, and now I think that there's a lot of people that are down on the Ass Boys. They're not sure. Like I don't know. Like, but I kind of love it. I kind of think it's fun. I think they've.
I'm not. I just the timing seems weird because the Acclaim's so hot. And
unless I don't get, I guess, my expected win back the title at Revolution.
And now
I'm starting to doubt myself.
I don't think it's happening because what I think is happening is because there's going to be 2 sets of tournaments and there's going to be a total of 4 teams. FTR is going to re-sign and they're going to come back and they're going to be one of the teams and they're going to win the belts and it's going to piss me off.
Where's that leave the Acclaim though? They're so awesome.
They are. And I guess maybe that's why is because they can't have FTR beat the Acclaimed. And so it makes more sense to do it with the Ass Boys because there was sort of that little feud that they had that the Ass Boys try to have with FTR.
So that's once they get rid of them, can the Acclaimed and FTR have a feud then?
Maybe.
I mean,
the Ass Boys, I don't hate them. The timing feels very weird. And the way that it came about, it just felt like there was no momentum behind them. I hope Aussie Open is in this. I personally would put the belts on them because I think Aussie Open is one of the top 5 tag teams right now. They're phenomenal. And
I know a lot, and I've seen I've seen small, of their matches.
Hey, that's all right. But yeah, exactly. I think it was.
But I know a lot of people I respect freaking love them, and my friend was at the show in London when they wrestled for New Japan, and it was a New Japan show, whichever show it was. But yeah, and that was one of his favorite matches of the year last year.
Mark tweeted last week, and he said that he had not seen Kyle since the end of the World Tag League in December. They were not. Nobody has booked them since December. They were not contracted anywhere. I thought they were under contract with New Japan when they got brought into United Empire. I just assumed that they were signed. And so I was very surprised that they are not contracted anywhere, but then they got announced that night for the New Japan Cup. They're going to be competing obviously as singles competitors, which I think is really cool to kind of see that. And now they're going to be in this tag team tournament on AEW on Wednesday. And so I would love to see Aussie Open. They're so good. Brad said, I'm an Ass Boys fan. They're so over the top. They're also so much better in the ring than their dad was. They have really improved so much in the ring, even in the last year. They're a really solid tag team. I definitely will give them that. And I don't hate them. The timing just seemed really off just because I guess that they are speeding up to get to this thing at Revolution, and I assume that means FTR is coming back, even though there were FTR references last night during the Elimination Chamber during Beth and Edge did the big rig, and they were calling it the Shatter Machine, and then they talked about it again. Apparently Edge talked about it again during the press conference, so I guess they're kind of maybe they're just trying to troll the fans.
Is everybody going to WWE now? Is that what's happening? We're all leaving. We're leaving and going to New Japan or to WWE.
Why?
I don't know.
That man is back. That man is back, and they're going to be getting sold. Why are you going right now?
It is such. When you think about it, just because of where things are now, the crowds are back everywhere. It is a very strange time for pro wrestling.
It is, but
there's a lot going on in every promotion. Every promotion has a lot of transitioning going on.
Right. And then even last night, I forgot GCW had a show last night, and I saw some clips from it. And then the main event was Nick Gage against freaking Speedball. And I saw people were saying go out of your way to watch that match. They were saying it was really good, and they said Nick Gage looked really great, especially because he's coming off of an injury. He said he looked great, and obviously Speedball is just Speedball, and he's he's in a whole other level right now. So, but there's so much happening right now in wrestling, and it is weird because there's so many rumors, and I mean, some of the same rumors. I mean, if we're honest, Jay White's been in the rumors for to go to WWE for like what the last 3 Januaries.
Every year,
every January it comes up. So, and then after last night, obviously, you know, he's going somewhere. But yeah, so wrestling is definitely very weird right now.
It's just a weird time.
But it works out that we're here.
Yeah, that's why we're here, because we watch a lot of different wrestling and we can keep up with all the weirdness.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to be doing in a few weeks when all these wrestling shows happen. And then I forgot that opening day of baseball is the same day that the Collective and WrestleCon starts.
I got glasses, Bella.
I was like, oh no, your glasses.
Oh, wait, let me put them back on so I look smarter.
There you go.
This is what.
Now we can continue our very smart conversation.
Our serious discussion about fake fighting.
Yeah, right.
I'm totally kidding. All right. Where were you? Keep going.
Yeah, I was complaining about how the baseball gods and wrestling goddesses hate me because they scheduled opening day and WrestleCon and the Collective all on the same day.
Right.
And so the Braves keep getting screwed, and they're playing at like 1:10, and then I think the Santino Brothers show is at 2:00 because I'm having the East Coast stuff is, I mean, the time zone stuff is throwing me off. And so, but yes, I was like, well, I'll get about 40 minutes of the Braves game in, then I have to start wrestling. And so Nikki was like, which is what I was going to do anyway. Nikki was like, it's time to bring out the iPad again. So, because that's usually what we do is I watch baseball on the iPad so that we can watch other stuff on TV, which other stuff generally ends up being wrestling 99% of the time anyway.
You actually made me start to think about myself. I was like, okay, I can use... This is pretty stationary. This is like my desktop. So this one, but I've got my phone, I've got an ultra portable, and I've got the TV, which hooks up to the internet situation.
Yeah.
So it's like, And I did realize actually recently that almost everything I watch, with very few exceptions, like there's little things spotted throughout the week that are like a regular, like, you know, a Star Wars thing or a Marvel thing or whatever.
Right.
But it's like all wrestling lately. And it's like I'm like listening to a wrestling podcast in the background, but I've got the Noah show on right in front of me.
I feel you. Like last night we were watching, for some reason, Peacock is not cooperating with Apple TV. I don't know what's going on. And so it made me, first of all, miss our friend Carl Frederick's first WWE match, except for he is now Eddie Thorpe is now his name, but Carl, for a friend of the show,
air fryer bro.
Yes, exactly. he had his debut match and I missed it, and so I've got to wait for it to come back because apparently it doesn't. Somebody was telling me, somebody who watches Level Up on a regular basis, said it's not immediately available right away, so I have to go back and watch it. But anyway, so last night we ended up in my room watching WWE on the TV, and then we're trying to start Battle of the Valley on the laptop, but they were on the struggle bus last night, which I'm sure Brad can attest to.
I saw and heard nothing from our Discord to the Twitter. There were some angry New Japan streaming fans out there.
It happens every single time.
It does happen every time.
I can watch GCW, and I even watched Wrestling Revolver on Fight TV or Fight Plus like 2 weeks ago. No issues whatsoever. And I do think it's probably because it's an increase in viewers, obviously.
It's New Japan, I think, too.
Yeah,
because
I think
even Garrett, he attended their press conference this week. Cough, cough. He was at the show and he was talking to us about some of this stuff. So it's like, yeah, I think that it sucks too because he and Dave interviewed Rocky on Friday. That dropped.
They did.
And Rocky was really putting over, like, we're bringing the best and it's going to be great. And we understand. We were listening to the fans from the previous, shows about the streaming issues. And then it was like, oh dear. Uh-oh.
Oh,
it didn't work.
Yeah, Brad says that New Japan brought their own production people over. How does this happen? That's a good question because that show got postponed, like, what was it, like close to 45 minutes, I think. Like it got, and then I heard I couldn't get the pre-show to come up and I was like, well, I'm not going to deal with that right now. I'll go back and watch it. But I kept seeing that the pre-show had no audio at all. and then like I turned it, and then when I finally did, like when it was supposed to be on, like my screen was blue and red, and and then it like came back and I could see them like walking around the ring. There's no audio, and then it went back to like looking like crap again, and then it was just a mess. And then by the time it started, it was during the main event of the Elimination Chamber. And so I was like, I have to go back and watch the first two matches because I had them on, but I wasn't really paying attention. And so I didn't even realize what happened at the end of the second match in Battle of the Valley until I thought maybe something, because I caught the very, very end of someone walking away. And I was like, wait a minute, was there a title? And then I saw a clip from somebody. And so I saw something that big that happened in the second match, which we'll get to when we talk about it. But yeah, so I was like, yeah, it was a mess. And they have 3 shows coming up because they have the multiverse match with, the multiverse show with Impact on March the 30th, which is sold out. Then they have April 15th is the Capital Collision show. And then the very next night is Collision in Philadelphia. So
because they're basically making the shows from last year are going to be like regular events now. And I wish I had downloaded the graphic. Tony Khan has a huge, important announcement for Wednesday, and some people are speculating it might have something to do with New Japan in some way. Or
do you think they'll? That'll be interesting.
It seems early for Forbidden Door.
Yeah, I thought that too. Even for tickets to go on sale. Yeah, because I was gonna say,
but I mean, I don't know.
Maybe
someone new is coming. That's kind of his go-to. We love to in the Discord. I actually
when the damn game's coming out. I don't watch. I mean, I don't care because I don't play video games, but I'm in multiple Slacks who do care, and they talk about it. They're ready for it. They're like, is this game even coming out at this point? So Brad said he went to New Japan World for the pre-show. They had Japanese commentary, which was fine. Well, at least you got to see it.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, right. You get to see the actual show.
Yeah, because I know it was Kratos versus David Finlay and Bobby Fish. Or did I mix that up? Was it Bobby Fish versus Finlay and Kratos versus? Oh, Alex Coughlin was in there too.
Alex Coughlin versus.
I know Alex Coughlin won, and I know that David Finlay won because I saw Garrett about it.
Oh, should I put our spoiler thing out?
Do we want to do the spoiler now or wait till we talk about it?
Yeah, maybe we should wait till we talk about it. I mean,
thank you, Brad. It was Kratos versus Coughlin.
Thank you, Brad.
Finlay versus after I said that,
another one of our loyal people that hangs out with us every Sunday, and we appreciate it.
We do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes, and Finlay versus Bobby Fish. Did Bobby Fish say? Did he say, what was his dumb thing that he says? Oh, where's the lie? Yeah, that's his thing he likes to say.
Where's the lie? All right.
Where's the lie? Okay.
I like the truth is the truth better, but I'm Matt Hardy.
Same. Always Matt Hardy.
I just see, the thing is that like I'm a Doctor Who fan, and Bobby Fish's name is reminiscent of a character that's referenced in Doctor Who, and so every time Bob and I we call him Bobby the Fish because it's hilarious actually at home. So if I inadvertently call him Bobby the Fish,
I've seen people call him Bobby the Fish, and I guess that's why, because I didn't know what the reference was, but I guess that's the reference.
It's timey-wimey. We won't get into it. It's just one of those things. It's another nerd. It's another nerd hole. It's just one of those places that you get.
Wrestling leads to a lot of nerd holes.
Well, I think nerd,
and I think nerd holes will lead to a wrestling too. Yeah.
It's like, I think that you're bound, like if you're a curious like nerd, if you're one of the people that goes around looking for things, you're going to ultimately end up in one of those things. And like comics and Doctor Who and sci-fi, there are a lot of similarities in all of those things. Like,
right. And I think that's why characters like Danhausen catch on so much.
Totally.
And and Orange Cassidy and things like that, because they're so
They're
because
almost superheroes.
Right. And it's the comic book type of thing. And it attracts those, it attracts fans from outside. Like that's what I think that's because a lot of, obviously a lot of people are like, well, why is Danhausen here? That's why, because people will find him and they will want to see what he's doing. And then you see guys and then you see him interacting with like Orange Cassidy and best friends and things like that. And like, so you get, and then that's people a way to get people in. Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, Danhausen's
give amazing. The people what they love.
Exactly. Call an audible. It's gonna be the phrase for the day, apparently. Oh, let's see. I guess we'll talk about. You've got some big news coming towards you.
Well, I actually want to put this out there because I think that it's so SummerSlam is going to be at Ford Field here in Detroit, which is where the Lions play. And I've been over there to see the Seahawks play the Lions.
As you should.
Because got to support my team.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, that'd be a good venue for SummerSlam. Like, it's a good venue. There's no really bad seats in the place. And I'm like, but do I really want to go to SummerSlam? And then I'm like, all my friends are like, how do you not go to one of the biggest events, the WWE events?
Because Vince is there and you don't want to give him money.
Well, there is that. But there is a fair argument to be made for it's like if WrestleMania comes to your town, you gotta go because you gotta have the experience. Sure. And it's like you're not necessarily going because you're the world's hugest WWE fan. You're going because you're the world's hugest pro wrestling fan, and like it or not, like they sit at the top of the mountain in North America, and that's the truth, and the truth is the truth. And so it's like, do I want to go because their big pay-per-views are always worth it.
Generally, yeah.
Yes, Tausa, thank you. He says, Mel's she's one of us. We accept you, one of us. Yes, one of us. You are one of us. I even have nerd glasses on. Look at this. It's awesome.
I love them.
I have for real glasses, but these are actually cool. They don't help me read better, but they're super shiny, and
they are shiny, which I like.
They are like
I like shiny and I like glitter, so
yeah.
I was like,
they deceptively make me look because it's like they're still glasses. So for if you're like really having an in-depth conversation, it's like because we all know if you put glasses on, it makes you sound smarter.
Yeah.
If you and then if you have an English accent, you are the smartest person and you know everything, right, Delta?
I'll tell us momentarily.
I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Is the minute you get you need glasses and a British accent, and it makes you the smartest person.
Yeah, I think so. So sounds right to me.
Oh, geez, I don't know. That's a scary thought. Exactly. Dowsa says Mel talking comics, Doctor Who, Star Wars, and Marvel would make a great show. It would. Maybe someday. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of nerds, thankfully, on our exactly. There's a lot of nerds on our Discord, and what I think is fun about Discord is that we have a movies and TV and comics channel where we can all nerd out about some other stuff together, and it's
because there's a lot of overlap there, which is really
super duper fun. So for those of you, I keep mentioning Discord. Let me throw this out there. If you want an invite to the Discord, it's not like some big super exclusive club. We just want to make sure that it's somebody that's not going to be a troll or a jerk or a hater. So it's gg@fightgamemedia.com. Just give him an email. Tell him I'm one of you. One of us, you're one of us. You're one of us. And he'll totally let you in.
Maybe we should tell him if he starts getting a bunch of emails with one of us in the subject, that means that they want into the Discord.
They want in. That's it. That's your secret password.
I was just gonna say that's your secret password. Not New England clam chowder.
Oh,
but
there.
One of us.
But not to Americans, because we don't make the distinction between you. I mean, some of us would admit it's like I understand that there are different accents. So, it's there's different accents in your country. What? Even tiny little countries. But Americans aren't like they're not smart enough to make the distinction. I think the glasses and the accent, it's enough.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, if you put on a tweed coat with some glasses and have the accent, you off to the races.
Yeah, man,
practically, you would almost be an ROH historian. You'd be the English. You'd be the English version of the ROH historian.
Or in Daz's case, the Stardom historian.
Yeah, well, Daz is the Stardom historian, though.
Yes. So, are you going to
SummerSlam? The Stardom ambassador.
Stardom ambassador, yes.
So, and that tangent was brought to you by SummerSlam at Ford Field on August 5th. Should Mel go to SummerSlam or should Mel not go to SummerSlam? So, I'm willing to give it a whirl, but at the same time, I'm just not sure where I stand.
I mean, I guess you can get us some Powerbombshells content. So
yeah, right. Well,
so there's that.
You can't use that picture. It's got our wrestler in it.
Right, I know. Sorry, God, don't do anything.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's move
enjoy
on.
That. Okay.
But yeah. So if you want to weigh in on this, here. If you want to weigh on this, you can go to the Powerbombshells accounts at Powerbombshells, or you can weigh in on one of our, our individual accounts.
Yes.
So we're gonna move on.
Yeah, you can tag me and be like, and tell me that Mel should not go. Tell Mel she should not go. Tell Mel.
Tell me. There we go. Tell me if I should go. Tell me if I shouldn't go. Do I need to go? Do I not need to go? I like live wrestling, Lincoln. I do like the experience.
Live wrestling is fun,
and I like the experiences.
Yeah, and there's
I'm just not sure where I'm at.
We talked about it. Like the thing I miss the most about regularly watching WWE, like in the not road to WrestleMania season, because this is the most WWE I've watched in a while.
Right.
There's a lot of wrestlers I've missed. Like I talk about it all the time. Like I miss Kevin Owens. And now Johnny Gargano and his terrible thing that they changed. Back like I miss. But then I heard that they weren't really booking Johnny for a little while before he got injured, and I was like, how are you going to bring Johnny Gargano back and not fucking book him?
Well, he's back around now. I mean, he didn't make it through the elimination.
Yeah, I mean, I did see the elimination. Yeah, but he had the really cool
he wrestled in the elimination chamber.
He did, and I heard that terrible song again, and it reminded. I hate that version of
the song. Love the wrestler.
Yes.
It's because he went to the Stanford place, and now he's. Yeah, but anyway, I can't really say that because I'm on the road to WrestleMania.
You are on the road to WrestleMania,
and I watched the Elimination Chamber last night. I mean, you ended up watching then most of the show, right? Because
I had it on. There were parts that I was not super paying attention to, but I did catch the entire show. I missed the first few minutes of the Women's Elimination Chamber, but that's because I was trying to figure out what the hell was going on with Peacock and why it wasn't working with Apple, and then I had to move rooms and get everything situated in here, and so it was I had to turn it on as I think the third competitor was coming in when I started really watching it, and then I went out of the room and came back and saw Raquel put she speared somebody through the I saw that. Thank you, Jeremy. Jeremy says happy birthday, Powerbombshells. Thank you.
Hey, Jeremy stopped by. That's awesome.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's so lovely.
I
love the Viking media.
We do.
I love being part of this group. We got a good group here. It's a good group of folks here at the Viking media, and I mean on every level, from the content to the top to the conversation to the just human support. There's some great folks in this group, and it's so fun that since we are reflecting a little here at being a year old and everything, it's great. It's a great place to be. I'm glad that we could spend a year here and get to know each other. And I've got a new friend now.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and a few. Because
Jeremy said I check in more than I just go silent, let the stars run their show. Well, thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for tuning in. That we really appreciate that.
I know Jeremy. Jeremy is the master lurker. There's a lot of skilled lurking. It's a very, very intense. You gotta be good at it. It's good. No, Jeremy does Jeremy deserves the biggest hug ever. Jeremy does
truly
big truckload of awesome for all of us. So
yes, definitely.
Shout out to you. And
for sure.
He was at the Battle in the Valley.
I know.
Yeah, they got some good pictures. Maybe we'll share them around
if
we're allowed.
Brad said even if people disagree, it's done respectfully, which we like to see.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think that's the right way to go. I think
me too. Yep.
I mean, and that's what we're just, I mean, it sort of was like the Facebook shifted a little because of Facebook not liking Garrett for no reason.
I saw some drama the other day and I was like, oh boy, this is why I don't check Facebook.
Just kind of like, I think things are shifting. And again, there's like everyone's transitioning right now. So, but, we're reorganizing and the Discord is sort of where that's happening. And it's a little more user friendly. It's a little less bandwidth on, your device. It's a little easier to talk to each other. And I think that,
I think this is a good time for it to be happening too, because it's during Road to WrestleMania. WrestleMania is coming up. We've got the the other shows that are coming up too. So it's good to have start getting this foundation in place for everybody.
And the threads are way better. It's easier to organize the threads. Like last night I was able to follow both the Battle in the Valley conversation that was happening.
Right.
And the Elimination Chamber watch along conversation that I was sort of trying to participate in and trying to just hang out in.
There's a lot happening.
There's so much. Last night was crazy. There was a UFC show and everything.
Damn, there was a lot happening last night.
Well, we won't get into the drama because we don't.
No, we'll skip the drama for today, at least for
skip the drama just because it's our birthday.
It is our birthday.
And the focus should be on us.
Yeah, God.
And the drama in the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, there was some drama there.
Well, it wasn't the Elimination Chamber.
No, it was the main event.
The paid live event.
Oh, yeah.
In which, as the Canadian, I did that, the Canadian, the which, in which the main event outcome was... All right, so I'm going to put this out there right now, and I'm just going to say it. Okay. I had absolutely no expectation whatsoever that Roman Reigns was not winning last night.
Yeah, that's how I went into it, too. I knew what I wanted.
I did not think it would have been a surprise to me. They would have actually probably won me over.
Yeah, right.
If they had actually called the audible.
Thanks, Doc. Appreciate that. Doc has been a really good friend and big supporter for the last year or so. Actually, probably a little bit longer than that. And so I appreciate that very much, Doc. Thanks for stopping by and thanks for congratulating us.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank
you. But yeah, I had the same feeling. I went into it with very low expectations because I knew, I was like, as much as I don't think WWE views Sammy the way that most of us do. He's not their guy. He's not to them, he is not the face of the WWE. He's not that guy. And I think, and they've also been telling a story for 2+ years now. Clearly they, there was going to be maybe where they veered off and have The Rock at WrestleMania, but if he didn't show up, they had a plan in place. Like they had some options. And so I don't think Sammy was never the story. Sammy ended up taking on a life of his own and being this thing. And so I just because of how they book, I wanted it to happen.
Of course.
I really, really wanted it. I just knew I know how they are. And I've seen people make the reference. I can't remember if it was Phil or Righteous Reg, or if it was, I think it may have been both of them, but they were talking about how Sami Zayn is kind of the having his Daniel Bryan yes moment, where where the fans were super behind. Well, at the time he was Daniel Bryan, and the fans were super behind him, and the company really was not. He kind of forced their hand, and so people were kind of hoping that's what was going to happen with Sammy, was that he would force their hand and give them like the McFoley moment, or some people even made the point, like, to kind of make up for the Montreal screw job.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that there's no reason for WWE people to believe that they have any reason to apologize for the Montreal screw job. So why would they?
Well,
they don't think in their mind,
no,
we should be contrite about that. And they have no, like,
Vince is back.
They have no regrets. Are you kidding?
Vince is gonna say Brett screwed Brett till the day he dies. So
it's whatever. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Come on.
So Daza says, I've not watched WWE since NXT UK closed down. However, even I woke up this morning and checked to see if Sami won because I'd somehow been sucked into it. It's the power of Sami Zayn.
And it was a great story. You have to give them credit. Go ahead.
Yeah, Brad, that's true. Brad says, my big question is what happens after the story? It's their biggest story in years. Once over, what do they have? It's a big test for Triple Paul.
Yeah, well,
it is a big test for Triple
Paul. They are married to, because they didn't get The Rock, and they never got The Rock in writing, and they were never going to get, again, to me, I never saw The Rock being, I don't know why. That's an ego thing. That's like your ego.
I think it's an ego thing. We've talked about it before. It's also a distancing himself from Vince thing. Like, I think the moment,
well, especially right now,
the moment that Vince came back, he was like, we've talked about it. He has so many brands, so much content. He has so many partnerships. There's the XFL. There's a lot going on there, and I think he's distancing himself
bad
from
press lately. So that's the last.
Yes, I think he's distancing himself from that. Then there, at the time when the announcement came, there was the rumors that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was going to buy the company.
Yeah, right.
And so I think The Rock was just like,
I'm out.
I don't need this hassle. I don't need this.
so it's Cody and Roman, and I think that it was actually Kevin Ely like brought me to my senses a little bit about it, because he was talking to someone else and made the point of the guy's won 1,000, he's had the thing for 1,000 days. It's 6 weeks before your biggest pay-per-view of the year. Of course, they're not going to give it to Sami.
Yeah.
Like they've already committed to making it Cody and Roman. It was never going to be Sami, as bad as we all want it.
Honestly, if it wasn't gonna be Cody, it should have been Jay. Like, that would have been. I do like Sami, but Jay would have been, because I even said, like, in the beginning, that was one of the things I was like, Jay should be the one to defeat him. And then obviously they were telling a different story, and the Cody story is not a bad story.
No,
like,
it's not.
That's the thing, that it is and I know there's people who don't like Cody, and I get it. But the Cody story,
but it is a good story.
It is a good story, and it is a story they can make work. So
it's a very WWE
It is a very WWE story. Yeah, 100%. But it'll work. And when Cody does win, because I do think Cody wins.
Cody knows the program. So
I think Cody takes both titles, and then maybe once Cody has the titles, then maybe that's when the titles are split up. I think Roman loses both titles. I don't. And Daza says, if there were 2 nights of Mania, Sami could get a shot on the second night. I know it's not the same, but I think somebody made the point, and I tend to agree, that Roman's power is in both titles. So I think he loses both titles. They could, which was a conversation we've had too. Like, they could split it up and put give Sami one, give Cody the other, give Jay one, give Cody the other. But he and so I guess that was even the conversation from last night, was if Sami loses, like if Roman loses to Sami last night, but then he still has one title, like that kind of hurts Roman a little bit to lose one at Elimination Chamber and then loses the one in WrestleMania, just because of the story that they've told with him. This is his power. Like, so I think that, because I think the bloodline collapse is happening at WrestleMania. Like, I think the Usos drop the titles. And it seems like, because of what we saw from last night in the main event, they are going to go ahead with the Kevin Owens and Sami going after the Usos for the titles. It looks like that's the path that they're taking. And so it looks like the collapse will happen at WrestleMania, which I think is smart.
And that's what you do, and that's the end of your storytelling year, kind of.
Right. And so then I think that the question is, like Brad said, like, where do they go from here? I think so. My guess is Roman takes some time off. Maybe he's gone. We don't see him for a couple months, and then he comes back. But some people think that this is to set up a face turn for Roman, which I don't think should happen right now. Roman is a better heel. I argued for years for the heel turn, and it finally happened, and it worked really well.
I think that's a bad idea because people did not like him as a face at all. People dumped on him.
I would go to shows, and the fans would be cheering him, and then other fans would start booing, and then the rest of the fans would start booing. That happened every time I saw Roman Reigns live.
I believe it. Because
people were cheering him when he was a babyface. It's just that they did.
Worthwhile. It's just the way that when they did it was like down, everyone's throats.
Right, which was the wrong way to do it. I think, and I've talked about this with some other people, and they were kind of saying the same thing, that an unhinged Roman Reigns, like an angry Roman Reigns who has no power, he's lost control of the bloodline, he has nothing. Like, I want to see that Roman. Like, I want to see what he does.
Mad lone wolf Roman.
Yeah, like, and he's unhinged. Does he turn on Paul Heyman? Does he is the wise man the only person he can trust? And then that's when I joked a few weeks ago. I joked about what if that's why they brought Nia back, was because they were going to have one last grasp at the bloodline, and he was going to recruit Tamina and Nia, and he was going to lead them because that's his like last grasp at the bloodline and their family members. And I don't think that's what they're doing, but I was like, it is WWE. So they could.
Don't give them any ideas, Sam.
I know. I put that in the universe. Right? I probably shouldn't have, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry that happened.
That happens.
Sorry for putting that in the universe if it happens. But yeah, I'd like to see. But then, so where do the Usos go? What happens to Solo? Because he seems to be the one that will listen to whatever Roman says. He acts without questioning. He does whatever Roman says. How high? He says how high, or he wants you to jump in, and Solo's how high. I mean, it's just, he doesn't think, he just does. So I think that's an interesting dynamic. Or maybe Solo is the only one who stays with him, or maybe they finally see that Roman.
I mean, they've been pushing him. They can't just dump him. Like, I know that he's like an outlier in the story, but they've also been pushing him. They put him in huge matches. Like, they need to do something with him. I mean,
well, and it's kind of like the Hikuleo thing that we talked about last week. Like, they put Hikuleo in this really big spot, and now he's not in the New Japan Cup. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
And if Cody wins the title, what's the story there?
Yeah. Well, I guess if he wins both titles, maybe the story is separating them. Maybe. But I don't know. Like, and so maybe you build some new stuff around that, but I don't know who challenges him because I don't watch enough to really think about it. But I don't know. Like, is that a Drew McIntyre thing? Is it Seth Rollins? They could.
That's right. There is a lot of build for Seth Rollins.
Cody has said that he's done with Seth Rollins. Like, he's we've done this, but I mean, it's wrestling and it's Cody, so they might be done for now. But maybe by the time you get to see them at SummerSlam.
Oh my God, wouldn't that be hilarious if that was like one of the main events? Seth and Cody. I have to sit there and listen to everybody chant to Roman's music and then pretend to tell me that you guys don't watch other promotions. F off.
Hey, well, maybe with the way things are going, maybe Jay White comes and he comes for the title from Cody. I don't know.
I'd rather that the rumor that Forbidden Door is going to be in Detroit be true, and then I can do that and not worry about SummerSlam, because
we put that in the universe that we were going to go to a Forbidden Door show together. So
that was out there. People,
it's out there.
I have heard. I don't know. We'll see, because that would be before SummerSlam theoretically, because it was June 26th last year. So.
Okay.
I mean,
so they could.
That's why I don't think this upcoming announcement. Like, I don't think Tony announced it.
Well, and it's an important, and there was the distinction that it was an important announcement, not a major announcement, right? Wasn't that the key phrase? And people were kind of dissecting that yesterday, that it was an important. And so what's the difference between important and major, and what is? So
yeah, I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look at the graphic. I made them make it a reaction in our Discord, that major announcement banner, because it's so awesome. Because it's so like, Like I said, I think it was Kevin Ely. He was like, I'm saving this as an evergreen image. I'm like, he's not wrong. Put that on your phone right now. I was like, we need to make this a reaction.
Yeah.
And then Jeremy made it so. No, it's so let's see. All right. So we talked about, so I mean, you know, it wasn't a bad show though. I mean, Elimination Chamber all the way around.
Asuka was the right choice for the women.
I was gonna say,
I don't trust them, but it was the right choice. Like Bianca versus Asuka will be a great match. And like I watched the Bianca interview last week, I think it was, and she was talking about how obviously she wants to three-peat because some people are calling her Miss WrestleMania. So she was like, you know, obviously I have to three-peat now. But then, or that's like her goal is to three-peat. And she was like, I want to have a banger of a match. Well, you're going to get one with Asuka. Like, I think that's smart. And I wouldn't be mad either way. I've heard some people say they're tired of Bianca as champion. I've seen a couple people have referred to her as Super Bianca, kind of like the Super Cena stuff that they did. And they said Bianca's kind of been that same way and they're tired of her. They want it to be Asuka, and I would love Asuka as champion. And I think now is the time. She has all the momentum behind her, especially because she's got the Kana type stuff that she's doing now, but they don't know how to book her. They can't book her for shit. And people, so last night we were like, yeah, but the Triple H is on booking. If you don't think that Vince is not somehow involved in creative, I don't know what to tell you. He's in.
But he told us at the presser, he swears he's not involved.
I guess not, but I guess we'll
see
in the way that
Asuka's not involved. He's not. I swear. We promise.
I don't.
We pinky swear.
Yeah, with our fingers crossed behind our back, right?
Hey, now.
I don't.
I'm totally kidding. I'm equally as cynical because I mean, unfortunately, again, this is like I'm watching it for a stint because I think it's good for me to experience this thing and to watch it. And I mean,
there's good stuff happening too.
And it was not a bad pay-per-view actually. The flow of it was pretty good. The women's elimination chamber, I liked that they started with it because people are paying attention. Mm-hmm. And it was a good match, and there was a good match. Real wrestling. God, like they let Nikki Cross actually do, like there were wrestling moves. Sam.
Yeah, and Liv did the sunset flip from the top of the chamber, which was cool as hell.
It was very cool.
Daza said Asuka always loses at Mania. I think, I believe that it's great. I did see a really cool fact last night that she is the first woman to have won Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, and was it Mania? There was one other one that I can look real quick because I retweeted it. But I don't trust them. They don't book her properly. Like, even she was tag team champions with I mean, we know they don't give a shit about the tag team titles. We've talked about that many times. They don't give a shit. But she was tag team champions with Charlotte Flair, who wins everything, and they couldn't even do that right. So I don't have any faith in them. Yeah. I would be pleasantly surprised if they did any of the things.
I was pleasantly surprised she won it all. I'm always ready for Asuka on TV.
I was like, yeah, they're leaning towards Asuka, but I don't know that that's where they're going with it. And I thought they were going to swerve and make it Raquel.
I wanted that I think that was like in my heart. I kind of wanted that because I think that would be fun and fresh. And I think they moved her up, so you may as well like go with it, like get her in there and really push her. But I think in my heart, my heart wanted that, but my head was like, that's not happening. Right. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, I still thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be Carmella. Like, I just thought they were.
Yeah, it looked like it towards the end.
I was like, they're just going to give it to her. She just came back or whatever. Yeah. Everybody's excited. Yay.
Yeah. So I found the tweet. It's Asuka is the first woman to win the Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, and Elimination Chamber.
Oh, interesting.
Which Asuka has done a lot, but then when she gets those titles and things, then that's when they don't know what the hell they're doing. They just suddenly forget how to book, I guess. I don't trust. So I don't know. I mean, and so on the one hand, like I do want Bianca to three-peat because I think that's really cool. But on the other hand, Asuka has all this momentum. Asuka deserves to win. She's amazing and she should have a title, but then I don't trust them to book her. But then like if Bianca wins, like what do you do? Like, what's next for her. Daza says he thinks she's 0-4 at Mania, so then they could break the streak and have
that's
her
a story. I mean,
they could have her win her first meet, but then what
that's
happens?
I mean, you can make a story out of that. Doesn't mean they will.
They could, but then if she does win the championship, then what? Because they always steal her big moments. Because like they had the moment where she won Money in the Bank and she's sitting on top of the ladder, and then Ronda Rousey's music hits and like steals her moment. That happened I think that happened twice that they stole.
I think the struggle is because there's so much talking on WWE, and Asuka is not someone that can do a whole lot of promo work on.
He doesn't have to put her with
I know they should put her with somebody,
but that's what they did with. That's why they put Paul Heyman with Roman,
right?
So because Roman can't
get her a good agent. You guys have 1 million people on your roster. You can't find somebody to come out there and be her agent, like to agent her, or
they could figure out something.
Her wise man, as it were.
She doesn't. Yeah,
because she's a great wrestler, and
they can figure out a way around it if they wanted to. And then there is the history that Vince didn't like her, and Vince doesn't like her because she's Asian, and he doesn't like her because he doesn't like the way she speaks and things like that, and thinks she can't get over. And so that's my fear of what happens when they book her, because even if Triple H is on creative and is head of creative, he still runs things by Vince, and Vince is still involved. I don't care what people say.
Vince still owns the company functionally. So
I don't trust them. I would love to be proven wrong. I would love for Asuka to win and for them to book her like they should. Book her. They don't have to do like they did in NXT and book her for 500 straight days as champion, but they could book her to be like just run through people and let her be Kana and just let her, which is what got her signed in the first place. Like they could let her do that. Would be great, but what do I know?
But that's storytelling. So
yes, and we can't do that. We don't know what storytelling is. What is that? We can only tell one story at a time, and that is Roman Reigns. That's the only story we know.
But
was there any
things have totally changed?
Yeah, sure.
So I'm done with my WWE. I want to get to this Battle in the Valley situation, and I do want to here. We're gonna throw this up here, right here. Brad's favorite graphic. So, guys, this is a giant spoiler alert for the Battle in the Valley from San Jose last night on New Japan. Well, it was on Fight TV. It was a struggle, as you've heard already. But so I don't care. I know that you watched it. You can go ahead and spoil me. I've seen all the results. I decided, I made the decision that I'm gonna wait for it to be on New Japan World and just watch Elimination Chamber. And I knew you were gonna watch, and I knew that I'd get spoiled. So let's talk about it.
Yeah. So like I said, I missed the first two matches. So the second match, I do know what happened. So the second match was Fred Rosser versus Kenta for the IWGP Strong title. Like I had it on, and every time I saw it, they weren't really doing much. And I think it was just because like every time I happened to look, they were just kind of standing there, and I was like, oh God, I can't see this. So then we moved into because Elimination Chamber ended, we moved to the living room, and like I thought I saw Fred Rosser walking away, and I was like, wait, did Fred Rosser drop his title? But then I was like, I don't know. I wasn't sure. So Dawson said he watched Battle of the Valley, so you know what you were talking about. Well, we appreciate that. welcome to welcome to the circle. But yeah, so then I saw a clip later that Juice Robinson had like a bag of like coins or something, and he hit Fred Rosser in the head with it, and I guess that opened up for Kenta to get the win. So
that's right. Kenta has a belt.
Yes, which kind of goes back to what we were talking about last week. That we think Kenta will be the leader of the Bullet Club now. Now it seems even more likely. Brad says that Kenta versus Fred was a really solid match. Fred Rosser has been putting on some bangers. Like he's been a really, really solid champion. And then Kenta is Kenta. So I'm going to go back and check that one out and it was interesting because Nikki and I even talked about it last night because the former Jonah, Bronson Reed, was in the Elimination Chamber last night, and he got eliminated pretty early. But
he sure did.
He should have stayed in the G1.
It's so weird. My favorite tweet from last night, I have to say this, I have to give a big shout out to Jeff Hawkins, our favorite power bombshell, tweeted, I heard Bronson Reed beat Okada. And
word on the street.
And Justin Nipper, also one of our pals here at Fight Game Media, was like, no, that was someone else. It was hilarious. It was a wonderful interaction that I saw. And I was like, thank you guys for being that. Like, as we were saying earlier, wrestling nerds.
Yeah.
Thank you too. It was hilarious.
Yes.
I loved it.
So Brad said, I rolled my eyes when Fred first joined NJPW at the start of the pandemic, but damn, he blew me away from the start. Big fan of his. Like, I liked him when he was the former Darren Young. And I just didn't really see a whole lot of him after that. But yeah, he's been really great. And his title match, the match where he won the title off of Tom Lawler, was one of my match of the year candidates last year.
That match was incredible. Match. God,
yeah,
that was so fun.
He's gotten a lot better. Like, he's so good. I really enjoy him. But what I was gonna say was, the rumor was that Jonah was going to be the one to take the title from Fred Rosser. Like, that's what people thought. That's why that was part of the reason he beat Okada. And they booked him like we were talking about how they should book him like Big Van Vader.
Yeah, right.
But he was over with the fans. And then they kind of were like, well, then maybe he's the one to take the title off of Fred Rosser, which I think would have been a really great story. But then I saw something the other day, and apparently Bronson is the one who contacted Triple H to get the ball rolling about him coming back. So I guess he just didn't want to be in New Japan. Maybe he just wanted, I don't know, maybe he just wanted to make a bunch of money, which I'm not, mad at him for. But I just think, I just don't know how you go from beating Okada to what you're doing now. But hey, you're happy.
Everybody's priorities are so...
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're happy, then you know what?
You do you, man. I mean, whatever. I mean, stay healthy, stay paid, do what you're going to do. Exactly. I mean, they'll book him the same way they book guys like him every time. And I mean, we've seen that.
I'm sure Triple H promised him a whole bunch of stuff and said he'd do all this. And then Vince came back, and we'll see.
Maybe he didn't want to work that hard, because New Japan is a lot.
It is a little grueling.
It's a little more, I mean, you tour and stuff like that. I mean,
yeah, I mean, he may have very valid reasons. It's just kind of a head scratcher from the outside looking in.
No, agreed. Completely agree. I mean,
but as long as he's happy and making money, good for him. Get paid, as our good friend Jeff would say.
Yeah, that's right. Get paid.
But yeah, so back to Kenta. But Kenta is now he's now the champion, so I guess that means that he will probably be stateside more, which he kind of has been anyway. I don't know how much he'll be involved in the Japan side of things. I still think he's probably the best person to lead Bullet Club. I don't know if they'll have a Japanese representative, not necessarily Japanese, but a representative in Japan, I should say, or if Kenta will just do both. He'll just kind of show up at both things, because Kenta's not in the New Japan Cup, I don't think, but Chase Owens is, and somehow has a first round bye. I was like, why the hell does Chase Owens have a first round bye in the New Japan?
Does Chase Owens have dirt on?
I don't know, but he has some dirt on somebody, because
he's got to have something on somebody to keep getting these slots. That
it sure appears that way.
He's a fun, like, you're a fine wrestler, but how? I ask.
I will just briefly say this. He was named during Speaking Out, so.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So that's where my feelings are on him.
Okay, well, then I can badmouth him all I want to.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. I just don't understand. I don't understand how he keeps getting these slots in these giant tournaments when they should clearly go to other people in the company.
Well, I just don't understand how Hikuleo is not in. Like, you just drove Jay White out of the company, and then you're not even in the cup. Yeah, like, maybe they're giving him time off. Maybe he's, who knows? Maybe he has an injury we don't know about. I don't know, but it just seems very odd that he's not. I mean, maybe they're saving him for the G1, but he can do both, because I mean, they've had plenty of people compete in both the New Japan Cup and in G1. But I don't know. I don't understand the booking there. But yeah. But yeah, good for Kenta. I love Kenta. I am a Kenta fan. It was somebody, I think it was Garrett said, I think it was Garrett that tweeted that he wished that because CM Punk was there last night. He was in the media section with Lars Fredrickson, and Giselle Shaw was over there as well, and I think Meltzer was nearby or something like that.
He was apparently something in the range of 8 feet away, I believe was
the
distance.
So Garrett
I can't confirm the distance. I actually don't have any sources to confirm, but they were fairly close together.
Yeah. And so, I think it was Garrett said that he wishes Kenta had pointed at him when he did the GTS.
I mean, I think that Garrett got a little salty because they were so delayed. Because and for those of you who don't know, because Garrett lives in the region, he was there at the actual show at the program.
He was at the press conference Friday and the show last night because Fight Game Media apparently is making moves.
Yeah, we're actually Jeremy was there with them.
Yeah,
and I think a few people. It's their home. It's was in their hometown, so you're gonna go. Right. But especially it was really fun. Like it was kind of fun because we were getting like live updates kind of out of the the venue, and it was like, why did I wait this long for this stuff? So when he reached that point, when he said that, I was like, it was great. It was so fun having them like be there and actually getting to like engage with them while they were
and they posted some, like, I retweeted it under the Power Bombshells. I retweeted Garrett's thread from the press conference with all the pictures he took, and then I gotta go back and retweet some of the stuff. I think on my personal page I retweeted some of the pictures that he took last night, but he got some good stuff, which was really cool to see that our people got to see some cool stuff last night, so that's very cool.
And and we got to like see it as like
vicariously through them.
Yeah, it was fun. It was totally fun.
We got to
see like Dave. We got to see Dave Meltzer educating people in the audience. It was really fun. He's the professor. But I think someone else has that nickname already. So
yes, they do.
Anyway, so
then the next match was one that I was really looking forward to because it was Motor City. They were defending their titles against the West Coast Wrecking Crew, which I've become a really big fan of the West Coast Wrecking Crew because obviously if you are new here, we're big Filthy Tom Lawler fans here.
Yeah.
And so then by default we get to see West Coast Wrecking Crew, and they join in on the ridiculous outfits that I love so much. And they're really good wrestlers on top of that. And then we got to see, and it was a really cool because when Tom Lawler was in the G1, Royce was with him. So we got to see Royce. Right. We got to see Royce's personality.
They were goofing around all through the G1. It was a really fun little like
in the nights that Tom wasn't competing in the tournament, they were doing like tag matches together, and they're so much fun. Yeah. And you really got to see Royce Isaac's personality, and he's really funny, and he's really I'm a big fan of Team Filthy, and so listen, Brad, he's still not over this. His buddies Royce and Jarrell losing made me a sad panda. I do like them, but it's Motor City Machine Guns. And I want them to Motor City is I am on. My new thing that I am on is because they're going to GC. They're making their GCW debut I think it's Atlantic City, and they're competing for the titles. So I want them to become Motor City 3 belts because they have the Impact titles as well. And then actually I just want them to recreate Ultimo Dragon's picture, and I want them to have all the tag team titles. I want them to come to AEW, and I want them to be in that tournament and beat the ass boys.
I've seen, it's so funny because he's from here. I've seen Alex Shelley a shocking amount of times now. Like it was so random. He went to, he showed up at one of our Evolve shows because Kushida was there.
I remember you telling me. Yeah.
And it was like, oh my God, this is really happening. And I'm like standing, less than 8 feet away from it. It's crazy. Like I
want Motor City.
Every time you say it, I'm like, oh, she does need to come visit us.
I do need to come visit you, but yeah,
because it feels like he ends up on all the wrestling shows I go to now.
Yeah, and even like I was watching, like I said a couple weeks ago, when I was watching PW Revolver, he had a solo match, and he's a heel and he's a singles wrestler. Yeah, they do need more titles than FTR. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Nikki. I want Motor City to have all the titles. Yeah. I want them to recreate the Ultimo Dragon picture. I want all of it, and even have more than Ultimo Dragon. Give them all the tag team titles from everywhere. I'd give them the WWE titles. I don't care. The NXT titles. Let them have them all.
Motor City. 5 ever. But I do love represent.
I do love West Coast Wrecking Crew. They are great. And I'm sorry that you were a sad panda, Brad. But I do. But yeah, that was a really good match. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was a lot of fun. So then the next match was like one of the big matches of the night, because it was Jay White versus Eddie Kingston.
And now, is it a loser leaves New Japan?
Right. But there was an extra stipulation for Eddie Kingston, because Eddie threw out, they were on Busted Open. So Eddie threw out, if I beat you, when I beat you, you're done. No New Japan in America. You're done. And Jay said, okay, well, if you lose, same for you. Also, you can wrestle no New Japan talent anywhere. And like if they come to AEW, you don't get to wrestle them. So the stipulation was a little bit different for Eddie. A little bit more on the line for Eddie if he lost it all. And so Eddie, of course, was like, oh, I'm sorry. Brad said it was on Wrestling Observer Live with Brian and Sip. My apologies. Because I knew that they were both going to be on Busted Open, and I think that's why I thought that. Because I think, oh, you know what? They were going to be on Busted Open separate days, I think. Eddie was Thursday and Jay was Friday, I think is what that was. So my apologies. Thank you for setting that straight, Brad. But yeah, so that was the stipulation. And so people were mad, and they were like, well, you just gave away the ending of the match. Well... It also goes back to the fact that New Japan did not. New Japan didn't clarify in the beginning that if he leaves New Japan, they just said loser leaves Japan. So they were on this. A lot of people were on the same boat as us.
Right.
That means he can wrestle in America. And so then they were like, no, we're going to make this new match with a new stipulation. And so this is how we're getting around it. But yeah, so it was a really great match. Eddie, he's angry coming down. He's very focused.
Choppy.
Does not have any of Jay's shit.
Beat the crap out of you.
Yeah, but I think one of the things that I really liked is Eddie lost, because the story is Eddie loses his temper and it costs him matches all the time.
Right.
It happened last night. Like he lost his temper. He nearly got disqualified. I think he took out Rick Knox, or nearly took out Rick Knox. And I was like, oh, and I thought Eddie's going to lose this because of his temper. Like it's going to keep that story going and he's going to lose this. And so maybe Jay renegotiated or something, and maybe or maybe we were correct and they're doing strong around him. But that ended up not being the case. Eddie did end up coming back for the win. And it was really interesting. What I thought was really cool was Eddie, after Eddie wins, he's motioning for them to cut his music, and I guess they just don't see him doing his hand, like he's like trying to get the
considering their production situation. Yeah. I'm not surprised.
The camera was on Eddie, and
given what I know from the production end of things, unfortunately for my.
Yeah, and so what he was trying to do was give Jay his moment, which I thought was really awesome. And he tried to start a Jay, like I think he started to try to start clapping, get the audience clapping. There were some thank you Jay chants, but then in typical New Japan fashion, when somebody is leaving, something happens, and so someone comes running down the aisle, attacks Jay.
Like, there's the door,
and it's David Finlay.
Right.
So we got a David Finlay heel turn last night.
And David Finlay everybody's tweeting that is he the new leader? Like he's not leader.
He's not in the Bullet Club. He did not explicitly join them last night. That's not how I took it. I know people were like, I don't want him to be the leader. He never said he was. He said, unless I completely miss it, which is possible. He said, he said, I want everything you have. He was like, basically, he was like, Jay is stupid for walking away from this. And because he's that stupid, I'm coming for everything he has. I'm coming for his spot. I'm coming for his titles. I'm coming for just everything. And so but he didn't explicitly say, I'm going to join the Bullet Club and I'm the new leader. Like, or he didn't say he never even said he was in the Bullet Club. I think it's possible that he is, but that's not what he seems I took it as he's the loner heel, but he's calling his shot. He's doing basically what Hikuleo should be doing. He's coming for everything Jay, he's like, if you're leaving all this, then I'm taking it. Like, I will be.
Yeah, right. If you're leaving your kingdom of the Switchblade era behind, then I'm
he said, he told him, he said, fuck your era, is what he said. So I was like, yeah. And then he kind of went on this rant about being a fourth generation and how they've been here for but then he was talking about being Irish, and I was like, are we getting a little nationalistic here? Like, where is this going? It was a little odd. So I wasn't quite sure. And it was funny because when Finley came out, I tweeted, did Juice send you? Not knowing that Juice had that he had cost Fred Rosser the title, because I had missed it and I didn't see that
funny.
until later. And so I thought Juice sent him, just because, it was interesting that when Juice turned heel, he left Finn behind. And, and Finley was still a baby face. Finley is going to be in the New Japan Cup. So I kind of like that they did this here, because it's typical of them. Like Nikki even pointed that out last night. Hang on, Daz, I'll go back to you in a second. Brad said the first part, taking everything from Jay, was fine. The second part, yikes. Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one, because I was listening to that and I was like, what is he saying? Like, what is he? It's a little, it kind of came off to me as a little nationalistic. And he was like, because he's talking about it was just, I don't know if it's because he's trying to cement himself as a heel, but like, he did that by just coming in and just saying, I'm coming for everything you had. Fuck your era. Like, that was it. Like, he should have just stopped there. But yeah, that the second half of that was really weird. And I love David Finlay. I'm here for heel David Finlay.
That'd be great. He's awesome.
I think he's fantastic. Like, I've always liked him, but he has really grown on me. Like, I love Finn Juice. I mean, y'all know I'm a huge Juice Robinson fan. But I love Finn Juice. And so I was a little sad when they broke up, but then they had a really good match at G1 last year, when they did Juice versus Finlay. Like, I thought that was probably to me, that was Finlay's best G1 match. And so I do kind of I like where they're going with him. He can't be cutting promos like that. It does not read very well. So Daza asks, what is the current thinking of where Jay is going?
Oh.
I don't know. Honestly,
I don't either, because it doesn't make sense if he can't wrestle in New Japan anymore.
I think he could easily go to AEW and continue the feud with Eddie there. Like, he could show up because Eddie has been.
That's Tony's huge. Oh wait. Important.
I wonder. That's one thing I was going to say. That could be his important announcement. But I kind of wonder, because they're kind of doing this stuff with Eddie and Ortiz. Eddie and Ortiz, if they have a match at Revolution, the Jay comes and costs Eddie the match and then reignites their feud, because he's like, you cost me my job in New Japan. I'm costing you your match here. So they could easily do that. Like, if that's where he's going. Could he show up in WWE? Yes.
Well, of course, because they have money.
Some people, and some people have, the rumor is that he's going to show up. Some people think he's going to show up at Mania. Some people think it's going to be the Raw after Mania, which could potentially happen. There's interest from AEW and WWE. So it's just what Jay wants. Like, does he want to lock down in WWE for 5 years and hopefully make a bunch of money? Potentially, who knows what happens with the sell? Do they get sold to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia? Do they get sold to somebody else? Do they go back private and Vince is in control and can just run amok and nobody can do anything about it? I mean, so you have to weigh that, but I mean, maybe he doesn't care about that. Maybe the politics is not what he cares about and he just wants to, come and do his job. Maybe he wants to wrestle AJ. maybe the original leader of the Bullet Club with Finn Balor. Maybe he wants to mix it up with the Good Brothers. Maybe he wants to join the Good Brothers, and maybe he joins Judgment Day.
God.
Maybe he comes for one of Cody's titles. I mean, so there are places that I think there's possibilities in both places for him. Do I want to see him in WWE? Absolutely not.
No. But I feel like a lot of people that like say things and then they kind of tend to be in the writer category. I'm worried he's going to end up in WWE because of the people that are saying he could end up in WWE, I guess, is the best way for me to put it.
Yeah,
But who knows? I mean, it's so like, I wish I had a better answer, but it's so wide open right now.
It is wide open, and I think he can fit in both places, and they could do something with him in both places, because some people have made the argument, and we talked about it, we touched on this last week, people have made the argument that Jay would be just another face in AEW, which is possible. But like we don't know when Adam Cole is going to be cleared at this point. Like, so there's still that. Kyle O'Reilly is not cleared. He's working his ass off to come back. There was the conversation on the Boom about AEW not having a very clear babyface, like a huge babyface star. And it was kind of
they took that from a conversation that Dave had,
right?
And I liked what they were talking about.
I don't see Jay as a babyface. I mean, he could come in and maybe but he's not, not that he's not a good babyface, because that's not true. He's an excellent heel, and
he's such a good heel.
Yeah, he's a great heel. I mean,
love Jay White, New Japan. Amazing.
And so then you've got MJF, who is, I guess, the big, besides Jon Moxley, because Jon Moxley is, I guess, supposed to be a heel, but he's the heel like Eddie Kingston, where everybody loves him. So it doesn't really matter. But MJF, I guess, is your big heel. So what do you do with Jay White in that situation? And so I can see there, the concern there. I don't think he goes to ROH or anything. I mean, they could build ROH around Jay. Definitely. Maybe what we thought was going to happen in New Japan of America, maybe they do it for that. I mean, Claudio is currently the champion. Or maybe he goes to ROH and is the big heel there, but I don't see that happening, because ROH is not going to be on TV every week. I think Jay wants to be on TV. So I think so ROH is a very slim possibility. I don't think that's happening. I think it is clearly one of the big two. It's either AEW or it's WWE. They could make it work in both companies. There is the concern of him becoming just another guy, but on the other hand, he's Jay White.
Right.
It's hard to not do anything with that, but they also have so many wrestlers there that he could get lost in the shuffle. But then on the other hand, in WWE, like you pointed out last week, you don't get to pick who your feuds are, and you wrestle the same people over and over again. And so, hopefully
you don't have any input creatively.
Right.
You have no input crereatively. You're going to have input creatively at AEW. You're not going to have input creatively.
And
at
WWE. He had input in
clearly.
New Japan. Right. And then so and then now we also have to go back to what happens to Gato. That was the question we had last week.
Right.
What happens to him now? Does he help Kenta?
Yeah. Because he totally he screwed over Okada for that guy.
Yeah, he did.
And now he's going to bounce for Stanford.
No, I think he'll stay in New Japan because he's the head booker. But exactly, Brad. Jay won't be able to cut Jay White promos in WWE. Somebody on Twitter last night called him Jamie Blanco, and I thought that was
I love some of the names people have.
I was like, Jamie Blanco is hilarious, and I love it so much. But so somebody said that WWE, they let Vince name him. His name will be Kiwi White.
Oh my God.
Listen, I'm just glad that he didn't get involved.
So true.
I'm glad he did not get to name Carl Fredericks, because that could have been really bad, because Carl Fredericks is Native American, and Vince could have offered some very not great suggestions for him. So I'm glad he got. I was relieved. I saw Eddie
like a I was like,
yeah, when he got Eddie Thorpe,
crazy. I'm like, all right, that's fine. Let's do that.
It'll be fine. And I was like, maybe he picked his name. Maybe they're references to somebody. Maybe Thorpe is a family name or something like that. Or maybe it's something WWE was like, here's a list of names, pick one. And
right.
I mean, it could have been that, but I was like, yeah, Eddie Thorpe is a lot better. I was bracing for the worst with him.
Yeah, it could have been
so
bad.
if Jay White goes there, I mean, you can't change Jay White's name. I mean, you gotta kind of go with that. Like, you can't. But on the other hand, he may not want.
They will. I mean, it depends if they're willing to.
Maybe he will be Jamie Blanco.
I mean, I think a lot of the reason that they end up changing their names is because like a lot of wrestlers don't want to give up their gimmick.
Right.
That's like Walter was a perfect example of that.
Keith Lee and Mia Yim. Keith Lee would not sign over. I mean, he got the Bearcat thing, but he would not sign over his name, and they were mad about it. I don't blame
them because of the way that WWE treats people and has historically treated people. But I mean, you got to keep your brand, man. So
keep your brand. So
because you never know. Like, you could go there and hate it, but you're under contract, so who knows?
Yeah. So let's get back to this card. We won't go. I know we're going long, but and
we do have a road to show following.
We do.
So we need to make sure that we're being thoughtful about it.
We do have to be respectful. So the next match was Homicide versus Tom Lawler in a street fight. It was no ropes on the ring. This match ruled. It was awesome. It was the War Horse sign. I have a picture of War Horse holding up a sign that says "This match fucks." That's exactly what this match was. This match was awesome. Because we love the Filthy Tom. Homicide is amazing. Homicide's still doing his thing after all this time, killing it. Match was really great. Go watch it. Is all I'll say about that. Then we got a TV title match with Zack Sabre Jr. versus Clark Connors for the TV title. Clark Connors, we love that guy.
He's great.
He came out last night.
Nice.
And his hat had like fringe hanging from it. If you know who Orville Peck is, that's exactly what it reminded me of. Nikki said, I think Filthy Tom forgot to take his shorts off, so he did it at the end. Yeah, he had pants on, and he took off those pants, and he had like some black shorts on. They were like kind of jean shorts, but they were long for Tom Lawler. And then afterwards, yes, he did take them off to reveal the shorty shorts we love. Except for he nearly was Filthy Flash, because he nearly flashed the audience because he was trying to pull it. And his underwear came with it a little bit. And so
the old wardrobe malfunction from our day.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Tom. But yes, it was great. But yeah, so Clark Connors, if you know who Orville Peck is, that's definitely the vibe I got. He had the fringe like off of his jacket, and then there's also the gif of or it was a picture. It was Billy Porter a couple years ago. I think it was at the Oscars, and he had the blue hat and he had the fringe that opened across the face, and it kind of had that vibe to it last night. So it was just.
I'm into
Clark Connors.
I'm into that stuff. I love that stuff.
Clark Connors looked like a member of Team Filthy last night with his gear. It was awesome. But that guy, he's so cool. He's awesome. I love him. And then of course, yes. Just Brad, yes, he knows about the Orville Peck stuff. Yes, that's exactly what it looked like. That's what I thought of. Except for he didn't have the mask, because Orville wears the mask and has the fringe hanging off of it, but it still had that. It gave me the same vibe. And so I wonder if that's where what he was going for, but he looked amazing. And
that's awesome.
He and Zach, because we love
that. That's got to be a good match. Zach is like it's yours to lose with Zach.
Yeah, it is. And he forced Clark to work his match.
Nice.
Obviously. And it was really good. I enjoyed it. We've talked about it before. Clark Connors released that video of like the list of people he wants to wrestle this year. And I hope he gets every single one of those matches. But his match last night with Zach was so good. And of course, because it's the TV title, they have a 15-minute time limit, and I think they went like 14 and a half minutes or something like that. But It was very, very good. And it appears that, so Zach retained, and it appears that Kevin Knight is his next challenger, because Kevin met him at the top of the ramp. And Kevin Knight has been killing it. And he's, well, obviously in New Japan, but he's actually been doing some stuff in Impact with Kushida. He's been Kushida's tag team partner.
Awesome.
Excuse me. He's been killing it. So I would really, yes. He said, Brad says the SJ versus Kevin Knight should be awesome. Such a clash of styles. Yeah. And so I don't know. I wonder if that happens at, I'm assuming not at the Multiverse show. I'm assuming that might be the April show. When they do DC or Philadelphia, that it might be one of those shows, I assume, is where that's going to happen. But whenever it happens, I make sure to watch it because I know it's going to be good. And so, like, I've heard some complaints that maybe Zach shouldn't have the title because he's established and this should be a title for the newer guys. But Zach he's establishing these guys. Like,
that's what I was just gonna say. Exactly. He is establishing it.
He is making these young guys prove themselves to one of New Japan's best. And he's making them work his matches and work, especially because they have the training, especially if they're the dojo guys, they have the training, but they have Shibata's training basically. And so clearly that's what Zach is going to do. And so, yeah, I love what they're doing with this title. And I like the 15-minute time limit that they have to work
I love
quickly.
That. That makes it really, I love some of the little stipulations sometimes. Like, not all the King of Pro Wrestling stuff is bad. Like, some of it's really
I love the KOPW stuff. I love those matches. They're fun.
And I love the idea of that 15-minute time limit because, I mean, Zach is so good. And like you said, like, you said it all just there. I agree with all of that. I'm just so excited and I love the TMDK, like him being part of TMDK.
Me too. Yeah.
So for like the promos, I mean, he's teaching them all the parts of it. And I think Zach is like, he seems like he's like a New Japan lifer, or at least for a long timer. I mean, he's learning Japanese now. He is starting
to, he stayed in Japan during the pandemic.
The entire pandemic. He
was there. Like, he is a New Japan guy. Like,
and so he's not just establishing them, he's like establishing them in the New Japan like mentality and the philosophy. Right. Like,
yeah,
this is, you have 15 minutes to do the things that you've been taught with me and do it in the New Japan. And that's a perfect thing to be doing with New Japan Strong and those
doing it with that title. Like,
I want them to come here so.
Yeah, they need. Nikki and I talked about it last night. I was like, they came to Charlotte last year, like a couple months after they did.
They have not been to the Midwest yet.
So I'm hoping Charlotte. I'm hoping that that Charlotte will be back up. Maybe they'll come back in August or something like that. So they come like July and August usually. So I'm hoping.
Although I guess they did Forbidden Door in Chicago, so that was there. And maybe that was their whole thought. But
yeah, that I really like what they're doing. And I think, and they made the note on commentary that I think they were saying that Chris Charlton, I think, has talked about it, how Zach will do a hold for 6 seconds. And if they don't tap out, he switches to a different hold. To kind of find out. And I think so then he's forcing these guys to be ready. Like, if they're not going to tap, he's going to do something. Like, they've got to be ready for Zach constantly moving. Like, Zach keeps the match moving along, which I think is really smart. And like you said, it gives them, they're wrestling different styles and they're wrestling his style, which I think is really cool. So I'm excited to see. I hope he holds the title for a while, just because I want to see him make people like work for it basically and get the Zack Sabre Jr. experience
and continue to cut, because he continues to cut amazing promos.
I know. I told Nikki last night, I was like, I wonder if he's talked to Filthy Tom about George Michael.
Or his,
because Filthy Tom is not a fan. So.
Feud.
Then the next, they're gonna fight for the TV title because of George Michael. Which they should. So the next match was the match that everybody was waiting for. It was the first of the double main event. It was Kairi versus Mercedes Moné. We were very pleasantly surprised because last week's episode, we thought maybe she would be on the lower end of the card just because we know how New Japan books. And then a few hours later, they announced that they would be the double main event. Some people call that a cop-out. It's not a cop-out, not in New Japan terms. New Japan does this all the time. They do double main events frequently.
All the time.
I think it's a testament to the women and to the fans who wanted this match and for them selling the tickets. And I think maybe this was the plan all along. Maybe they were always going to have it be the double main event. I don't know. But Daza said he got goosebumps during this match, and it was wonderful. This match was so good. It was easily the match of the night for me.
Nice.
It was
so good to hear.
Like Zach and like not good. Like they were really good matches. Like the card was very good. Like everything. So like it was a really great card. But for me, this was the match of the night. Mercedes came out. She had the gear that was a tribute to Hana Kimura because there was a mutual respect between the two of them. Hana is who inspired her. And I haven't seen there was a video that was put out by Mercedes that was like 22 minutes long. So I've seen some clips from it, but I haven't had time to sit down and watch the whole thing. But she talks about her journey and like why she came to Japan, why she's wanted to wrestle in Japan. She's like wanted to do this for years and years. And she like talks about that. So I definitely want to go back and watch it. But there was a clip and they asked her like, what are the chances of you going back to WWE? And she was like, I mean, that people like to say never, but because one of the questions were because he was like, are you gonna do like the MMA or UFC stuff? And she was like, no, I think that that ship has sailed. But then she made it a reference and asked of Amanda Nunes like if she was ready to go, and she was like, I would fight her. But then she said, I think I have as much chance of returning to WWE as I do of fighting Amanda Nunes.
Yeah.
And she's like, I mean, she was like, I have to follow my heart, and wherever my heart goes, I will follow. So she was like, I mean, it's possible, but she pretty much was like, nah.
I think I'm good here.
Yeah. But I've never been a huge fan of Mercedes, but she was great last night. Both women killed it. They did. And I think
nice.
And Daza says AEW needs to look at this match and aspire to it. Yes. And I think people, and I do get the hype with Mercedes, and you want, like, I do, she deserves everything she got last night. But Kairi is just so good. And we've seen that for years, and people are overlooking Kairi because they wanted Mercedes, and I get it. But Kairi just,
Kairi made sense because they've worked together before. And also, I don't care what you say, she was freaking awesome. She had one of the best elbow drops in, like, she was like second to Okada. We used to like, oh my God. It was
Kairi is incredible. And I didn't see it until after the match, but earlier in the day, she sent a tweet that just said Monet, and it was pictures of her and Sasha back when they were in WWE together. And there was one, and it was like her and Sasha and Bailey, and there was somebody else, Asuka maybe was in the picture. I can't remember, but it was really cool. And yes, Kairi is also underrated and underappreciated in main roster in WWE, 100%. And I was thinking of Nikki, and I talked about it last night because some people were upset when Kairi originally won the IWGP Women's title. Some people were really upset that Kairi was the one to win.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Kairi won. They knew Mercedes was coming in, and Mercedes was going to be the one.
I think this was the perfect setup.
And so I think
it was the right way to go.
The one, it sucks because that was only Kairi's second defense last night. She's only defended the title twice. It was at at Wrestle Kingdom, and then last night. And Mercedes obviously showed up after the match at Wrestle Kingdom. That lasted like 7 minutes. But last night's match, I did not officially time it, but I kept an eye on when it started and when it stopped, and they went almost 27 minutes. They were the longest match of the night. So I hope that that's a really good sign with how New Japan is going to book the women, at least in America. I hope that that's a sign of things to come. I hope they're going to put them higher on the card. Mercedes did win the title last night, which was, expected. But it was still, nonetheless, it was still a really great moment. The match, they got tables in this match.
Nice.
And I watched a clip of Mercedes talking after the match, and she was like, Kairi gave me the fight of my life. She almost snatched me bald. I lost all the nails on my left hand. She nearly kicked my face off. She was she was like, what the line that I love was, I'm not a quitter, I'm a money maker. And I was like, talk your shit.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Talk your shit, Mercedes. It was, but yeah, the women was really great. And I hope that they I don't know what they're going to do with Kairi in this situation with, because obviously she's still doing Stardom stuff. So I don't know how this is going to work exactly. And I don't know who will be the first person to challenge Mercedes. Like, that's really interesting to see. Because I assume, so I don't know if hopefully she'll be on the Impact show. She has hinted at wrestling Mickie James. That's somebody she's always wanted to wrestle. Mickie, I think, wants the match as well. So they could do that. I don't know if the title would be on the line. They're both champions. So I don't know if they would do that, but then so she's probably going to defend it in DC and in Philadelphia. I would assume she's going to defend the title both nights because people are paying to see her. So I'm really interested to see what they do with her. Brad said last night was Kathy's first time seeing Mercedes, but she was more into Kairi. She loves Japanese women's wrestling. Hey, I get it. Kairi's amazing. Kairi's awesome. I love her.
I mean, you're exposing her to really good wrestling too, so she's allowed to have a good, that way she gets like a broad base and she can have her own opinions.
Daza says, is New Japan going to be signing women or just bringing them in for one shots? I think they're going to be using Stardom women. It's going to be,
is it Bushiroad or TVSI? One of those two that is the owner. They own Stardom now.
Yes, Bushiroad. It's Bushiroad that does, and so that I think it's.
And that's
they could potentially bring women in, but I think it's going to be Stardom women is who she's going to be wrestling, and then she's named a couple of wrestlers outside of Stardom that she wants to wrestle in Japan, which I think they'll make happen.
I think that they can. I mean, they have relationships with Impact, right? And they have relationships with New Japan or with AEW. So
and then with AEW,
make the rounds.
Yeah, and even with AEW. There's Ring of Honor, so then you have
of course.
So then you have technically Athena.
That's a matchup.
She's the champion. You've got Serena Deeb will probably be over there. They've been booking Trisha Dora, so she could do it. Trisha Dora has wrestled in TJPW a few weeks ago, so it seems like they probably have a plan laid out for her of who she'll be facing. Penelope was in DDT Pro. And she won the Ironman, the Ironman heavyweight championship. I believe the tweet that I saw is she is the 1557th champion. It was the clip was great because Kip was talking and the champion came by and he was like, Penelope. And he whispered in her ear and he calls the champion back and he's like, oh, how did you win the belt? And, all this stuff. And Penelope goes and gets a referee and pins her. And then she's running down the hall and you hear Kip yelling, run, Penelope, run. So that was really great. And so I don't know if she'll drop it before she comes back. But yeah, so I think with the Stardom side, so I mean they could bring in women, but I think it's gonna be Stardom because
I think it's gonna be Stardom women. I would imagine.
It's a champion. It's a title basically between both companies because Stardom said it's not replacing their top titles, but it is a title that could potentially be defended on Stardom shows. So I think she'll do some shows here in America, and then I think she'll go back to Japan and probably compete there and defend the title there is what it sounds like is the plan for that, which is really great. And so that's what I said earlier when all of this was happening, that Mercedes feels like she's on the verge of a breakthrough and of doing really huge things. And if she can bring, more American eyeballs to Japanese wrestling, I think that's a really good thing. And if she's she's already starting to bring in more eyes for New Japan. There were people last night who were watching and they were counting down 5 more matches till Mercedes. 4 more matches. They were counting down for Mercedes, and that doesn't happen in New Japan really. I mean, obviously there's those of us who do love it and we watch it all the time and we watch together. But last night was a show kind of felt like Wrestle Kingdom. A lot of people were watching together and they were it was really cool to see. And Mercedes is a part of that, and I think that is a really big deal, and I hope that they book her like that, where she is bringing in, they understand that she's bringing in eyeballs, she's bringing in money, she's bringing in this type of stuff. And Daza said the reason I brought the show was for the women's match. And Daza, I saw quite a few people say that last night, and so New Japan is smart to sign her and whatever her deal is,
whatever their deal is right now,
whatever the point is, they brought her in, and then they belted her. And she helped them move tickets, and they put her in a prominent position last night. Will they get to main event? I don't know. I mean, it's still New Japan. They are obviously they're not gonna main event over, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. They, that's the thing.
They've made it pretty clear that nothing will ever main event over the IWGP.
Listen, how many years has Hiramo been trying to get the Super Juniors to main event Wrestle Kingdom? That's been his thing for like three Wrestle
years now. Yeah, he's still on it. He still does.
And they should, but New Japan is very New Japan, and they're going to do things their way. So Sean says, in my opinion, Sasha is the female equivalent to CM Punk in WWE's eyes / perspective. She valued herself more than the company did, and for her better or worse, she was willing to risk it all and to do it her way. Exactly, Sean. And so far, it appears to be paying off. Like
last night was a success, and that's another. Yeah. I mean, that was a friendly crowd. She was going in there where she was. That was a crowd that was going to be
for her when her music hit was huge, and then
it was going to be a crowd that was like. I mean, they were, of course, everyone was going to be rooting for her, so it was kind of like she had to go in there and just prove them right.
Right. She did. She more than proved them right. And she hit her finisher, which is called the Moneymaker.
Nice.
And then she hit it better this time. It looked
not
great.
To be confused with the Money Clip, which is a separate.
No, but somebody called it, Warren Hayes called it the Monet Clip. He posted a picture and said Monet Clip.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and she was great because she hit the Meteora, and they of course didn't call it the Meteora. And she also hit the she did a bank statement. And nice. They were like, oh, she's got her in a crossface. And I was like, that's the bank statement. But then, and the best part, though, was she did a Bailey to Belly, and Bailey was in the crowd.
Yeah,
and people were chanting.
I heard Bailey was there.
So I read a tweet last night that said that Bailey was brought in under a lucha mask because they were trying to bring her in so it wouldn't be a distraction. But they said she was so excited for Sasha. She barely kept her mask on. She was standing and cheering the entire match. And they were like, that Bailey is like legit her best friend.
That's so cute.
It's adorable. And I was like, we all should have a friend like Bailey. So I was so glad that she was there. And I think Trinity was there last night, but I'm not positive if she was. I heard that she was, but I didn't see her. I don't know if she was elsewhere or if she was backstage or what, but I hope Trinity was there. But I'm so glad that Bailey. Yeah, because last night I was like, wait a minute. I was texting, I was messaging in one of the Slacks, and I was like, Bailey doesn't have a match tonight, right? And they were like, no. And I was like, San Jose is her hometown. She's gotta be. And it's Sasha Mercedes' first match. She's gotta be there. And so I'm glad that she was, because it was awesome to see. And yeah, so they killed it. And then the main event was, of course, Okada versus Tanahashi. We've seen that match, but it's still a good match. I think it was Okada said that could be the last time that match happens in the United States.
Oh my.
And I was like, it very well could be. And I didn't get to pay attention as much as I could because I was working on an article for Daily DDT about Mercedes. So, but from what I saw, it's Okada and Tanahashi. Like right. They deliver every single time, and they're always so good. It was a really great way, I think, to close out the show, and I enjoyed it, and it was good. And then Okada's in the ring, hitting his Rainmaker pose. Mercedes music hits. He looks like, who is coming out here? And she gets in the ring with them, and it's funny because she's kind of trying to get him to dance, and he kind of bounces a little bit, but he won't like commit to it.
Yeah.
And I was like, come on, Okada, dance. I was like, hopefully maybe we'll get it in Philly or DC. But that was just a really cool moment. Like, I saw a lot of tweets. They were like, if you had told me a year ago or 18 months ago that Okada and Mercedes would be in the middle of a ring together and both holding titles, like that's like nobody had that on their bingo card.
No.
It's like it was such a cool moment, and it kind of, I guess, elevated to Mercedes to being like equal to Okada, as in like they're both champions, they're both carrying this company, they're the face. Like Okada is obviously the face of New Japan, clearly. Tana, you could even make that argument for Tanahashi, but this is Mercedes,
the ace of the universe.
Yes, exactly. And he threw his guitar into the audience last night.
Good.
But Mercedes, she is that person. She's the best woman. Brad said when she came out, Kathy said, "Her again, really?" Which popped me. She just wanted to enjoy Okada, who was one of her favorites. She finally warmed up to her when they shook hands. Hey, Kathy, I get it. I totally get that.
I am with Kathy. I literally was like, they were all at the show and everyone else was like, oh, this and that. And I'm like, Okada picks, please. Please send Okada
Brad. Garrett got a really good picture.
There's some good ones. He got a good picture of the two of them together that I really love.
He did. Yes, he got a really good picture. But I thought that was a really
nice job with your photography here.
Yes, I thought it was a really cool moment, and I thought that just kind of solidified Mercedes as being somebody who is important in New Japan. And to have her in the ring with Okada, I think speaks volumes. And I think that was kind of you belong here too. Even though she came out on her own, he didn't invite her into the ring. She came out on her own, but he accepted her and he shook her hand and they raised their belts together. And then at the end, they walked through the crowd together. I mean, she stopped and posed for a photo and he turned around like, "Are you coming?" And they got to the top of the ramp and the show ends with them holding the titles up. And I think that's a really, that image kind of set the tone, I think, for hopefully what they're going to be doing. That, Okada is the guy, Mercedes is, Mercedes is the one for them for the women's side of things. They are hopefully, it appears that they are taking women's wrestling seriously. It is New Japan, so I don't want to get my hopes up because I know that they obviously feel a little bit differently about women's wrestling, but I'm hoping that last night was kind of a, we mean business. Mercedes is here. Brad said, Kenta just tweeted out, "I heard that my biggest fan in the world came to the arena last night. I hope he enjoyed a real go to sleep." Kenta is the best. Make him the leader of Bullet Club now.
Yeah, I think that's probably the path we need to have. I mean, Kenta seems like a really obvious choice at this point.
I freaking love him. And somebody made the comment though that they hope that CM Punk was in the crowd just to boo Eddie Kingston.
Oh, Jesus God.
I was like, oh, that's great.
He would be that petty, wouldn't he?
We know Eddie would be if the roles were reversed.
Lord.
But yeah, God, I love Kenta. Kenta's so great.
Kenta's great.
Put him, I'm glad he has the title. Make him run the Bullet Club.
Yeah, seriously.
Just make him do it. There's nobody else who can do it. So, but yeah, so last night was a good night of wrestling. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I would definitely. So whenever you get to watch the show, I'm excited to see what you think because there was some really good stuff, and I hope they get it up on World soon. Because there's some good stuff there, and hopefully there's no problems. Like you can watch it with no streaming issues and no audio issues. It seems like once they got it going, it was fine. Like I missed most of the first two matches, so I can't speak for that. But throughout the rest of the show, it seemed like there were not any issues. So that was nice to see, and hopefully they'll have their shit together for the next 3 shows that they do. Because I do think the multiverse show is on Fight, because obviously Fight Plus is doing all of the collective shows. So I will definitely be getting my $4.99's worth out of that.
I think you will.
Yes. All right. So I know we've kept you guys here for a little while. I'm gonna keep you a little bit longer because
are we gonna ask one of these questions?
Yeah.
Did you one of them?
Sean says, "Bombshells, with the 2 of the biggest free agents leaving New Japan, Kota and Jay, where do you think they end up?" I think Jay goes to WWE and Ibushi goes to AEW. We hit some on the Jay White stuff a little while ago. We both are kind of up in the air. We think he could go to AEW or WWE. We think there's spots for him in both places. They could continue the Eddie story in AEW. He could go to WWE and he could he could try to run Bullet Club over there. He could do some, maybe he wants to mix it up with Finn. I don't know how long AJ's supposed to be out because I know he broke his ankle. So I don't know what his time frame was. I mean, maybe he does some stuff with the Good Brothers. They could reunite him there. He could be the one to go for it once Cody wins the titles. If he wins, assuming he wins both of them, then maybe Jay comes for one of them. And because there's talk that they're going to split the title, so maybe Jay takes one of them. So I think there's I don't want him to go to WWE personally, just because I don't think he could be Jay White there. But I mean, he could prove me wrong. Maybe they do really. I mean, I don't know. So I think he could go either. I think it's really up in the air. And I think if he comes to AEW, he will probably he will probably reignite the feud with Eddie Kingston, because Eddie is the one who caused him to leave New Japan. And he could be like, okay, well, I'm coming for you. So I could think it could go either way. As far as Kota, I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I think it depends on AEW and New Japan's relationship. If signing Kota Ibushi is going to sour the relationship with New Japan, they
probably won't.
And it also depends on Kota.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him in DDT or even Noah at some point.
Right.
Because DDT is like, he
could be a free agent and
just go back there. And
yeah. I mean, he's already doing GCW. He's doing 2 GCW shows already. He's kind of, he can kind of do the Suzuki thing where he goes and wrestles in the UK for a while. He can go wrestle some American indies. Like, I think Kota could just do whatever Kota wants to do. I would like to see him in AEW. Like, I hope that they can work something out and he can do Forbidden Door. I would love a Golden Lover.
That would be awesome.
I just think I think the relationship with New Japan is really crucial.
Yep.
So I think they have to be very careful. If Ibushi even wants to sign a contract, because
Ibushi notoriously doesn't.
Yeah, and I saw something the other day that he said AEW offered him a lot of money back in 2018, but he wanted the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and so he would not sign. He has said that he will only go to WWE if they let him train at the Performance Center and train the wrestlers the way he wants them trained. And I don't see that happening. And maybe Kota knows that's not going to happen, so he's just saying whatever.
Being a troll.
Because he's Kota. Kota just opened a wrestling school as well.
Right.
So Kota is a real wild card.
He's notoriously a bit of a diva anyway. So he's a personality.
He is. He thinks there's 20. He can make it there be 25 hours in a day. And listen, who are we to argue with Kota?
Well, look at him. I mean,
Daza said I won't be here live for the next few weeks. I will be in Vegas for my 50th.
Well, happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday, but we will miss you, and we hope that you have a blast. And tweet us some pictures if you want to. If you think they're too incriminating,
enjoy Vegas.
Yes, have fun and enjoy that. But we will
monumentous.
We will jump on these 2 questions real quick, because when we first started out, we did these questions called "Getting to Know You," because Mel and I did not know each other before this podcast.
Because Garrett was like, "You guys would probably go together, cool."
Yeah, and so we talked a few times, like a couple weeks leading up to the first episode. And if you guys remember, Garrett was like kind of moderating our first few episodes for us, and we were recording episodes and things like that before so that was the thing that we did, and we wanted to bring it back. So Mel, I'll let you ask your question first if you would like to.
Oh, do you want me to do mine?
I can do mine first.
I can do mine first. Let's do yours, because mine might take a little longer. We could maybe save it for a different time.
Okay,
because we're good at that stuff.
What we are.
Maybe we can bring some people on for that other question.
Okay,
and talk to them about it.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Okay, so then we'll ask my question,
like we did with the Halloween story that ended up being a lot of fun.
Oh my god, the Halloween episode's one of my favorite episodes that we've ever done. I love the Halloween.
We wrote the greatest. Us and Keela and Jeff wrote the greatest.
We had a horror story involving wrestlers.
Wrestling horror story ever.
So yeah, it was
one of my faves.
I love that story. We have to.
I'll pop that back.
And we need to. And I forgot to do it.
It's on our archive.
It is on our archive. And we need to also. So is Paul's song that he wrote for us. His Christmas song that he wrote. We had a song written about us because we're so special. And on that note, I will ask you.
Yes.
Is there a wrestling show or event or a match that you can say changed your life?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was a very small, it would be a very innocuous show in most worlds, but seeing OTT in Wexford in a tent it's a little events area that they had there where they have the freestanding tents. It's like a Bavarian style.
Oh, cool.
So it was like a wooden tent. And it was perfect. It was the absolute perfect place to see wrestling.
Yeah, it sounds like a really cool place.
We were in Ireland with our friend, and we were driving all around his country and getting to know the place. And he was like, I'll never forget, because he knew we were coming. He's like, do you want to see a wrestling show? And he was like,
do I?
And I was like, yeah, I haven't been in independent wrestling in forever by then. It was like, this is 2016. And that wrestling show in that tent is what reignited. It got me back into, I had kind of fallen away. I was, a fall away. And then it brought me back to wrestling, and it expanded like from 2016. Right. That's where I started watching New Japan, and I started watching NXT when it was good, and 205 Live all the time. And because there was like good wrestling again. It was like it had come back. It was interesting again. And so it was really cool. So, I mean, we saw the tag team. One of the tag teams ended up ultimately becoming a big tag team in OTT. They had the belts way later on, but this was like and it actually turns out that this was one of their early, like, first shows. It might have been like one of their first few shows that they were running.
Right.
And that was cool. Like, and the following February, so in 2017, in February 2017, Kenny Omega headlined Scrapper Mania.
Oh, wow.
So we saw sort of the beginning of this season that culminated in Kenny being in that match, and our friend got to go to that match. But I think I was out of wrestling at the time. I was just out of it. And so that bringing me back and reminding me, like, just chanting and being in the room with everyone, and we sat in the front row, and it was a really cool, like, it was like, oh my God, like, we came straight home and started looking around, and that's when we found Evolve. Awesome. And so, I mean, that's so absolutely cool. Like, and it's the best because it has every component you could possibly want. Yeah. Like, it was with friend, like, who's practicing. I mean, he's family. Yeah. I mean, this is like, and I mean, wrestling with the Good Brother and going to, and just, it was like bringing us back to wrestling. And I wouldn't be sitting here if I hadn't been sitting there in 2016.
Yeah.
So that's,
I totally get that. So I have two that, well, there's probably a little bit more, but there's two for sure. Like, I think one of the biggest things was, it was actually an event. It was, Mick Foley was doing a stand-up show here in Charlotte. He was raising money for Hurricane Helms after Hurricane Helms was in a very bad motorcycle accident. And at that show, Nikki and I went, and that is where we met Zane and Caleb. They were promoting, they had flyers for the PWX show. They were there promoting. Man Scout Jake Manning was there as well. We had actually seen Jake and Caleb a couple of times at a couple of high spot shows that we went to, but they gave us that flyer for PWX, and we started going in, we went, I think our first show was an October show, maybe, and we went for 11 years. That became like, there was a 4-year period where Nikki and I did not miss a show. We got to know some of the wrestlers, and we saw, we've talked about, like, Cedric was there. We saw Cedric from the very beginning. We saw Caleb there. We saw Hangman Page. He was just Adam Page at the time, but he wasn't Hangman yet. And so we saw, like, his early career. We saw the beginning of Savannah Evans' career. We saw, and they brought in a lot of talent. Like, we saw when the Hardys left WWE and they were doing Impact, and it was right before they went back to WWE. Like, we saw Matt, and then we saw Jeff. They were on separate shows because they were a little expensive together. We saw so much, and we got to really see indie wrestling. It's where we met some of our closest friends that we're still friends with today. Like, that's our thing. Like, we go to wrestling shows together, and we would once a month. That's like what we knew every single month. Like, we would see, no matter what was going on in our lives, like, we would see our friends at that show. And sometimes we would take up the entire front row because it was all of us. And then we started getting some other people that sat with us. And then, so it just became like, it became a family, and it became something that we looked forward to every month. And that's what I really, really hate. For all intents and purposes, PWX is dead.
Yeah, ditto.
I hate that. And so now we're we do have a group text, and we talk to each other pretty much every single day. And so we do have that. And we've been to some wrestling shows together. Like, we've gotten GCW a couple times, and most of us, we've got DPW that some of us have gone to, Title Belt Pro we now have. So we do kind of have that. So we do have something. Nikki said it taught us a lot about the indie scene because all we knew was WWE. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It gave us these experiences that we never would have had. And then I would say, I mean, I could also say, no, I could point to specific shows like when the Young Bucks came in, they brought in the Young Bucks. And then that's when I believe that was Matthew's first show. Can't remember if that was also Kiefer's first show, but that's where it brought Matthew in. So then that Matthew eventually became part of our group. And so shows like that also happened. But, and then I would say on top, besides the McFoley thing, because that definitely changed basically the course of everything, but we did, we went to, Nikki and I were lucky enough to be able to go to All In. We went with some of our closest friends. We had a blast, and we got to experience what wrestling could be like on that scale. And like AEW has been something that we've been attached to because we were there at the beginning. Like we were there when the seeds were planted, and we got to be a part of that moment, which is incredible. But then on top of that, so on top of having that relationship with AEW from the very beginning, from like the very moment of that we realized like this could, like, I think we all kind of had this collective moment of like, this is something really special and it could be even more special. It could turn into something else. And I think AEW has kind of gotten away from that a little bit. And even Cody has mentioned that the spirit is still there, but it's kind of gone away, but they can recapture it. But the reason I also say All In is because that's what led to me writing about wrestling. I've always been a writer. I have a degree that says I'm good at writing. I've always done it, but with wrestling, I just talked to friends about it. I tweeted about it all the time. And one of my really good friends who came with us to All In she saw Fansided was looking for writers because AEW was starting and they needed more writers. And she was like, you should do this. And I was like, I don't know. I just kind of tweet about it. She was like, Sam, apply for it.
I'm glad.
I did. And it got me into writing. And so I've been writing about wrestling. I've written for several different publications now. I believe this is my 4th year writing about wrestling. And of course, now it's led me to the podcast. It's led me to you. It's led me to this group of people in Fight Game Media. So I think, that show changed my life as well. It's so funny that pro wrestling, that's what inspired this question, was how much pro wrestling has given me and how much I have, because I have a writing career in a sense due to wrestling, because my shoot job has nothing to do with writing. And so this has been an avenue. It's been an outlet for me. And then it has led to podcasting. And it's led, like I said, it's led to you. It's led to great friends. It's led to a wrestling community. It's led to other wrestling colleagues. It's led to opportunities where I have been on every single AEW media call except one. I've gotten to go to a media call, a media scrum rather. I have got to ask Tony Khan questions. I have got to piss him off with questions, and and so I've had all of these opportunities, and it's all. It started with All In, but it technically started back even further from the meeting. Zane and Caleb was literally a life-changing moment, which I never really put into perspective, because I'm like, oh, of course, they're the reasons I came to PWX. They're the reason I'm here. But then I thought about all that has come since that in those 11 years. And I realized, whoa, that was a life-changing, like my life literally changed in that moment where they gave me that flyer. And so then that's why I was like, well, then I wanted to know, like, for you, like, what it was. And so that's really cool. And then we have here in the comments, we have Daza talking about it. And actually there was one more, sorry about that. So Daza said Hearts versus Bulldogs from MSG around 87, as it was my first glimpse of American wrestling and made me want to try and track down more, so that's so cool. And then Daza said it's not really a show, but when I discovered the existence of the Observer, it led me down a path to meeting so many new friends. And without that, I would not have gone to Vegas or New York. That's incredible. And then
that's true. I wouldn't have reached out to Garrett if it hadn't been for the Observer.
And I reached out to Garrett because of JD, because JD and I wrote together at at Fansided, and I was looking for somewhere besides Daily DDT to kind of write and to do stuff, and JD was doing stuff with Vikay Media, and I reached out to JD, who put me in touch with Garrett. And so yeah, it's just all these things that happen. And then so Brad said years ago, my mom's former coworker let me borrow a tape he made of ECW episodes that aired at 2 a.m. here in New York. I was hooked on this real raw and gritty wrestling, and he said ECW and tape trading for Japanese wrestling became my life. Like, that's so fucking cool. Like, it's so awesome.
Well,
like,
and it's weird because I have like, my friends who have been in wrestling long enough, like that they were tape traders or whatever. It was like, they still, like those relationships that they made so many years ago, they still exist.
Yeah, like I missed the tape trading. So I didn't know tape trading was, I had no idea that tape trading was a thing, because I think if I had, I would have been all over that. I didn't know.
I have a good friend who was.
I did not know about tape trading. I had no idea. Like I had friends in junior high and high school who watched wrestling, and we talked about but we watched WWE. And I did have a friend who watched ECW on TV, and he tried to convince me to watch it. And I think I watched an episode, and it was, at the time, was not for me. And I was just like, I don't see how you watch that. I had no idea about tape trading until later. And I was like, yeah, if I had known about tape trading earlier, I think I probably would have been all over that. So
I get the stories from a good friend and then a couple of the other guys, but it's like, I just think it's so amazing to me that like they still have relationships with people that they did, because it was so like, cool. You didn't know what you were getting. This is like some guy you thought
until I got there.
But and then in those people, especially, I'm glad that there's still people, and especially like particularly since one of them is much younger than me, is the one that's constantly reminding me that like, shut up, you can get anything you want right now.
Yeah.
Like if you don't like what you're watching wrestling wise, go find another one there.
Right. I mean, and that's kind of like why
we gave wrestling available to people right now.
That's why we gave up WWE, because we were like, it doesn't make us happy. There's so much other shit I can be watching, and I still don't have enough time to watch all the cool shit that's out there. Man. Like I barely, 95% of what we watch is something for wrestling. Like there's wrestling on like every day of the week, and I'm watching it, or I'm catching indie shows, but there's so much good shit out there. And like you said, if you don't like what you're seeing, then there's alternatives out there. And I know sometimes it's hard because you can't necessarily afford $10 a month to give to a company, and you can't always afford even $5 a month. And like I get it. And so there's stuff that's free that's on TV, but there's stuff on YouTube. Like you can find wrestling on YouTube, and you can find free stuff. So there's a lot out there. As I said, it was always a surprise when I found a tape trader who actually delivered what I wanted. I can imagine, Daza.
Oh man, I love all the inside. Like when the internet was young, one of the things that people used to do is use the porn sites to transfer wrestling videos. And I always would. It always made me laugh, because I'm like, son, what are you doing in there? It's like, are you on a porn site? It's like, yes, but I'm watching Bret Hart beat up Shawn Michaels. It's like
hysterical. Dazzle said he messed up so many VCRs with dodgy 5 generation tapes.
I bet.
Oh god.
And that was like, and that was back in the day, kids. We had these things called magazines. And they were actually physical things that you opened up and read the word.
Yeah.
Dave used to send Dave used to send the Observer out. Well, he still does. I mean, you can still get the paper version, but it used to only be in paper.
Yeah. And I have a box of old wrestling magazines that I still have.
Oh,
and that's where I found the other day. Some of you may have seen it a couple weeks ago. It was the cover of a magazine with Goldberg, and it said "From Spear to Eternity," and my caption was, "How long will Bret Hart hate Goldberg?" So awesome. And it's from a magazine in my collection that was from 2000. I was like, awesome. This magazine is 23 years old. Cool. I'm still watching it.
Like, I have 2 things that I like to do now that are useful to me. Is we have a hobby shop and a library right near me, and the library does book sales, and you can almost always find. Chris Jericho makes jokes about this actually in his books that you can find. I'm like, I want to find it at my library, and someday I'm going to bring that book with me and be like, bought it at my local library book sale, just because he makes the jokes throughout the.
Yes.
But it's true, and also the hobby shop has magazines and figures.
That's so cool.
A lot of the time, so we'll just go in there and like
Nikki and I found I will read what Brad said in just a second. Nikki and I were at a Walmart like a week and a half ago, and we found a print copy of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and it was the tag team edition.
Then we bought it.
Well, we looked through it, and then I got mad because I was like, there are not 50, because I think they had Motor City at 51, and I was like, there are not 50 tag teams better than Motor City.
Come on, consider the source.
Yeah, and I was like, this is my issue with Pro Wrestling Illustrated, because I know they have valid points, but I was like, their lists, I've never really agreed with a lot of the things that they put in there, but they do good work, and there's a lot of stuff. But then we were flipping through, and I was like, oh, we follow each other on Twitter. Oh, we follow each other on Twitter. Then there was a spread from our friend Asita. And Asita she does photography, and she got to cover. She had been stationed in Japan, so she was going to a lot of Dragon Gate shows, and she ended up taking pictures. So I was like, I'm gonna message her and see if she's got a physical copy. And Nikki's like, well, I'm sure they've given her one. So I messaged her and I said, and I told her what I found, like what Nikki found, and she was like, can you buy it? Because it's she was like, I haven't gotten a physical copy of it. And she's like, that was like, I think that was her first story that was in there. And so it was the only copy, and we bought a Pro Wrestling Illustrated last week.
Awesome.
So Brad says, my local wrestling store that I take Kathy to for meet and greets used to rent tapes for wrestling from around the world, was my favorite place to go since it was a few blocks from my college. That's so cool, Brad. I love that. And then I love that because now it serves this other purpose, and it's for you, that builds that relationship with you and your daughter, which I think that's so cool. And Daza said, I've still got 2 shelves of binders containing years of hard copies of The Observer, as well as the yearbooks from the 80s.
Yep, I've seen these shelves in a friend's house. His videos of WCW and all kinds of crazy stuff, and it's amazing. And I love it. I think it's like, sentimental, like it's stuff you don't lose. It makes you happy. It's like the world is such a messed up, weird place. Like it's just nice to disappear into it and enjoy it
and there's some stuff that like I've given away, or just because I wasn't like super into it anymore, or like I had, like Nikki pointed it out the other day, like I used to have an 8x10 of Goldberg that I got from some like fair or festival, and Nikki was like, I'm pretty sure you gave that away, and I was like, I think I did, and I was like, now I'm kind of mad that I did. But like I have an old like sweatshirt of Kevin Nash's from NWO that I bought when I was in junior high school. Like it's still hanging in my closet. Like
it's so cute.
So like, and it's nice to know that there are other nerds who keep their shit too. And like I have this box of, my mom's like, because she's seen like where I've had stuff before, and she's like, don't you want to get rid of it? I was like, no. I was like, especially now, because this shit's, some of it could be worth something. And I was like, and even if it's not, like I'm not planning to like sell it, but like it's now it's like all this stuff, and especially because now I'm in wrestling media, and it's like, which I never had any intention to ever do, and so I was like, it's cool just to have that stuff now.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I think it's a good place. That's it.
Yeah,
the spot.
It is.
That way, if you guys stay tuned to this very channel.
Nikki says she has all her Wolfpack shirts and a broken Kevin Nash watch.
Nice.
Can confirm.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I have, what's nice, like I don't have a ton of collectible stuff yet, but I've like, because it's become a thing now, I'm starting to get things. So like I got like a really good, like essentially a Christmas card, which was an 8x10 that my friend got from a wrestler that basically was like, oh, you want me to, and so, I mean, there's so many, like, it just, all of it, the pins, the merch, the experiences, the people that you get to meet, it's
so much more than just tuning in every week to watch the stories, which, is what it is, but there's so much more around it, and it's such a community, and we've talked about there's good and bad with it, and there's a lot more good. The bad's just louder.
And the goodest, at least in our world, is our fight game media compatriots here.
Yes.
So, I've got that down there. If you want to subscribe to the Patreon, it's $5 a month, or there's a yearly price, which is an excellent deal as well.
Yes.
If you're frugal like me. But there's a lot of great content. There's a lot of great people here. It was just really cool. Thanks, like Jeremy. And
that's awesome.
Thank you for jumping
by.
in and saying hi and wishing us happy birthday. And the fact that we're here still is amazing. Like
after a year, and we'll get to those 100 episodes.
Hell yeah.
We're more than halfway there.
I mean, yeah, we just, I mean, we have no intention of going anywhere. And if you guys keep showing up, we'll keep being here.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you guys for all your support, whether today was your first episode or if you've been here since the beginning or you popped up somewhere in between or you've seen some and come back and missed some. We appreciate you anytime that you're here. So thank you for supporting us, and thank you for following us on social media and interacting with us, and we appreciate all of that, truly.
For sure.
Yeah.
What do you say, buddy? We should get out of Garrett's way.
I just think so. They're gonna be live in like 45 minutes. So
you stay right here. You will be able to watch the post Elimination Chamber episode of The Road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, so make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, because you'll see stuff like that. They'll be live every Sunday on the road to WrestleMania.
Let me see if I can find that link.
Yeah.
Can I put that up? That thing right there. No, that's not it. One. It's right here. Nope.
Yeah, this one.
This one with all these stuff on it. But anyway, so check it out. Check out all our stuff. Please subscribe. We are pushing our numbers up there, and deleting the face. Oh, I know, but we have the Discord, Daza. So he says Gigi's deleting the Facebook groups, but we've got the Discord. Join the Discord. It's fun. We can keep talking about movies.
Send him the email with the subject one of us.
I think Daza may be already on the end.
That's what I'm saying. But still, if you're watching this, send it when we'll tell Garrett, if you start getting a bunch of emails that say one of us in the subject, it's because they Powerbombshells sent.
Yeah, we should probably tell him so he doesn't
do that.
All right, you guys, we're gonna get out of here.
Yes. So, come join us next week for episode 53. Who knows what kind of shenanigans will happen?
Exactly. Shenanigans. No audible.
No audible.